The fake young master is a two-faced snake. He wanted to make sure I knew he was the one their 5 sisters adored most. So on my very first day back in the mansion, he deliberately had the 5 sisters shut me out at the front gate. No matter how hard I knocked, no one answered. I didn't back down. I grabbed a fire axe and swung it straight at the gate without a second thought. The Jiang family, watching on the security cameras, were all stunned by that wild move. I didn't flinch. I hoisted the axe onto my shoulder and walked right in. Jiang Yinuo stood behind the others, face pale with fear, and the 5 sisters instinctively stepped in front to shield him, watching me with cold suspicion. Their words hit like knives. Fang Shichuan, that door is worth 800,000. You're just a country nobody, you think you can pay for it? The first to speak was Jiang Yinuo's eldest sister, Jiang Wanxia. 18 years and you still didn't manage to die out there? Why bother coming back? Third sister Jiang Mengling cut in, her contempt barely contained. Look at the state of you. Just standing next to you makes us look bad. Fifth sister Jiang Yutong crossed her arms, dripping with disdain. If you know what's good for you, stay in the room we've prepared and never show your face again. My gaze locked onto Jiang Wanxia, the woman who, in my past life, had taken the knife Jiang Yinuo handed her and driven it into my side with her own hands. That look unnerved her. She took an involuntary step back. I turned to the housekeeper beside me. Auntie Chan, take me to my room. Auntie Chan didn't move. She looked at me with disgust. Who do you think you are, ordering me around? I smiled. This woman had made my past life a misery. Today she'd be the first one I dealt with. I walked over slowly, grabbed Auntie Qian by her tied-up hair, and yanked hard. She crashed to the floor, screaming in pain. I dragged her along, passing the Jiang siblings, and said, I'm going up to pick my room. I want the biggest one. The color drained from every face in the room. Jiang Yutong fired back immediately. The biggest room belongs to Yinuo. Who do you think you are? I kept walking, ignoring her completely. I hauled Auntie Qian up the stairs, letting her slam into the walls on both sides deliberately. Each impact sent a burning jolt of pain through her back. Auntie Chan couldn't take it anymore. Young master, please let me go. I'll take you to the room. I'll take you to the room. In no time I reached the second floor and headed right. Jiang Yinuo's 5 sisters couldn't stay still any longer. They all came rushing up after me, and there they found me standing in front of their precious brother's bedroom door, the fire axe raised. Fang Shichuan, you wouldn't dare, Jiang Wanxia snapped, though there was a barely perceptible tremor in her voice. If you bring that axe down, get out of this family for good. I dragged an ashen-faced Auntie Chan over the broken door and walked in. Behind me, Jiang Yinuo's fists clenched, the hatred in his eyes almost impossible to hide. This is my room now. I let go of Auntie Chan and tossed her aside like garbage. Jiang Yinuo drew a deep breath, fighting hard to hold down the rage and panic rising inside him. He reached up and tugged at Jiang Wanxia's sleeve, voice low. Wanxia, let it go. He's been through so much out there. He's the true eldest young master of the Jiang family. All of this is rightfully his. I grew up with you all, but in the end, I'm not Jiang blood. As long as I can stay in this house and be by your side, that's enough for me. If he wants this room, let him have it. His strategic retreat wrapped in honeyed manipulation worked exactly as intended. It ignited the sisters' fury and flooded them with protectiveness for him. Yinuo, don't worry. Jiang Wanxia stepped in front of him, her voice like steel. I won't let him take your room. A storage closet is all he deserves. Let's throw him out right now. Third sister Jiang Mengling was already moving to charge in. The moment the sisters stepped inside, they were met with my full, unapologetic smirk. A trail of muddy boot prints cut across the snow-white imported cashmere carpet. Jiang Yinuo spoke up right on cue, voice soft with hurt. That carpet Mengling brought it back from abroad for me. It's a limited edition. He let the sentence hang. He didn't need to finish. The sisters exploded. Fang Shichuan, Jiang Mengling jabbed her finger in my face. In all my years, I have never met anyone as utterly shameless as you. This is Yinuo's room. Are you going to leave on your own, or do we have to drag you out? Scenes like this had played out countless times in my past life. I was used to it. If anything, I almost felt like laughing. I spread my hands and gave a cold smile. This room is mine. Go ahead and try something. That brazen challenge was all it took to push them over the edge. Jiang Wanxia's eyes went cold. She stepped forward to throw me out herself. Jiang Yinuo grabbed her arm, his expression full of wounded helplessness. Wanxia, forget it. This is his room. He's the real eldest young master, don't blame him. If anyone should move out, it's me. He stepped toward me, voice gentle. Don't be angry. They only act this way because they're worried about me. I had heard enough of that honeyed manipulation in my past life. It made me sick. I didn't want to hear another word of it. I lunged forward and cracked my palm hard across Jiang Yinuo's face, that mask of false innocence shattering with the impact. He clutched his instantly swelling cheek, staring at me in disbelief. Tears came instantly, rolling down in fat drops, as if he were the most wronged person in the world. Yinuo, several voices cried out at once. All 5 sisters surged toward me, glaring like I had committed some unforgivable crime. Jiang Wanxia lost all composure. Her well-manicured hand swung toward my face, sharp nails slicing through the air. My eyes hardened. I snapped my arm up like a vice and caught her wrist clean. My other hand came around without mercy, striking her across her cold, elegant cheek. At the same time, my foot was already moving a sharp side kick straight to her stomach, right through that expensive skirt. Jiang Wanxia cried out in pain and staggered backward, crashing into second sister Jiang Xia behind her. Both of them went down in a heap. The rest of the Jiang family froze, too stunned to react. Jiang Yinuo looked up at me, voice breaking with dramatic anguish. How could you hit Wanxia and Xia? If you have a grievance, performance, take it out on me. I had no patience for his performance. I stepped forward and closed my hand around Zhang Yinuo's throat. I lifted him until his toes left the ground, then let my free hand fly back and forth. 2 hard, clean slaps landed in quick succession. A rush of long-forgotten satisfaction surged through me. Zhang Yinuo's face was a mask of terror. He flailed uselessly like a chicken caught by the throat. "Yinuo, let him go!" Shrill screams erupted as the remaining sisters all launched themselves at me. Third sister Jiang Mengling snatched up a decorative crystal vase from nearby and brought it crashing down toward my head. I stepped back slightly, let go, and yanked Zhang Yinuo forward right into the path of the blow. By the time Jiang Mengling realized who was in front of her, it was too late to stop. Crash! The crystal vase connected squarely with Zhang Yinuo's skull. A blood-curdling scream tore through the air. I released him and stepped back, watching Zhang Yinuo clutch his head. Blood seeped between his fingers. The smile on my face was ice cold. Well, looks like someone's head is blooming. My voice was almost playful. Beautiful! Zhang Yinuo pressed his hands to his head, feeling the warm blood flow. His face was pure panic. Blood, there's blood! Will my face be ruined? Even Zhang Wanxia was shaken. She forgot her own pain and scrambled to her feet. Yinuo, I didn't mean to. Get the first aid kit now, Jiang Xia called out sharply. She was a doctor and kept her head. Moving quickly to Jiang Yinuo's side, she examined the wound and steadied him. Yinuo, don't be scared. I'm here. It's just a surface wound. You're going to be fine. The first aid kit arrived quickly. Jiang Xia cleaned and dressed the wound with careful hands. In the brief lull, Jiang Wanxia lifted her gaze to me, fury completely undisguised. Fang Shichuan, she said through gritted teeth. You come back and within an hour, Yinuo is bleeding. How can you be this vicious? Get out of this family now if you have any sense left. I burst out laughing, sharp and scornful. Jiang Wanxia, did I hurt Zhang Yinuo? Wasn't it your beloved third sister who smashed a vase over his head with her own hands? Everyone here saw it. I covered my mouth as another laugh slipped out, a little theatrical maybe, but the satisfaction was completely real. My, dog turning on dog, or should I say sisters tearing each other apart. What a show. Jiang Wanxia's expression curdled into something truly ugly. She was so choked with rage she couldn't form a single word. Zhang Yutong stormed over, her face twisted with fury. Oh, so it wasn't your fault? If you hadn't dodged, the vase never would have hit Yinuo. You did this, you're a jinx. Listen to that logic. Exactly the same brain-dead reasoning as in my past life. I raised my hand as if to slap her. Jiang Yutong had learned her lesson. She flinched sideways without thinking. And here I thought all of you were too stupid to even duck when someone swings at you. Turns out you do know how to get out of the way. I grabbed her by the collar and pulled her in close. My voice dropped, but every word landed clearly in her ear. Jiang Yutong, that was just a test. I wanted to see if you'd even bother to dodge. If I actually wanted to hit you, do you really think you could get away? Before she could respond, crack, 2 sharp slaps, left then right, clean and ringing. Fang Shichuan, what are you doing now? A familiar voice cut in from the doorway. I looked up. Right on time, everyone was home. My so-called father, Jiang Shanyue, and the stepmother, who had always despised me, Su Yuehua, stood in the doorway, faces iron gray as they took in the scene. The whole family was finally assembled. My game could begin in earnest. Su Yuehua had just watched me hit her own daughter. The fury inside her surged up so fast she couldn't hold it down. Then she saw Jiang Yinuo, blood all over his face. The anger blazed hotter. She strode in. Let go of my daughter! I took in their stunned, furious faces and let go of Jiang Yutong. I reached over, pulled a wet wipe from the box nearby, and cleaned my fingers at a leisurely pace as if I'd just touched something unpleasant. The moment Su Yuehua saw her daughter's swollen face, her heart broke. She glared at me, and her words were vicious. If I'd known you were this vicious, I would have strangled you the moment I laid eyes on you. She is your sister. How dare you raise your hand against her? If you want to stay in this house, you will behave yourself. When I tell you to stand, you stand. When I tell you to kneel, you kneel. I raised an eyebrow, completely unbothered. If Madame Jiang finds me so unwelcome, I'll leave. Honestly, I'm not that eager to claim this family anyway. A flash of joy lit up Jiang Yinuo's chest. Good. Never come back. The Jiang family only needs one eldest young master. Su Yuehua was half a second from telling me to get out, but Jiang Shanyue caught her arm and spoke first. Fang Shichuan, don't say things like that. You're our son. Your mother only said what she did because she's upset. Don't take it to heart. I said nothing. I had no intention of actually leaving. This was my battlefield. I wasn't going anywhere until every one of them had paid their dues. And this moment only confirmed it. The Jiang family cared deeply about the bloodline I carried behind me. Su Yuehua composed herself. Now that you're in this house, you follow our rules. Everything you say and do reflects on this family. Behavior like this is an embarrassment. It's beneath the dignity of the Jiang family's eldest son, and it reflects badly on all of us. To the outside world, you will be introduced as our adopted son. Yinuo remains the eldest young master of the Jiang family. I raised an eyebrow and looked toward the silent Jiang Shanyue. My father, in name the true power behind the Jiang family. Mr. Jiang, I shifted how I addressed him, my tone deliberately distant. Do you also think all of this is my fault? Jiang Shanyue's expression darkened. His eyes swept across me, then Jiang Yinuo, then each of the sisters. They came to rest on my face, assessing, calculating. With a calculation he barely tried to conceal, seal. Before he could speak, Su Yuehua cut in, furious. If I'd known you were this kind of disaster, we never should have brought you back. You're a plague on this household. You've been back one day and already turned everything upside down. Enough. Jiang Shanyu finally spoke, cutting off Su Yuehua's tirade. He drew a breath and turned to me, his tone attempting calm but still carrying that unmistakable air of looking down from a height. Fang Shichuan, didn't the butler explain things to you? Yes, you are my biological son, but Yinuo has lived with us for so many years. In our hearts, he is already family. I'm asking you to find a way to coexist. He paused, a warning edging into his tone. Now that you're back in this house, you live by our rules. What you did just now was completely out of line. Apologize to your mother, your sisters, and Yinuo. I let out a short, derisive laugh as if I'd just heard the funniest thing in the world. Mr. Jiang, I think you've got it backwards. I stepped forward, meeting his gaze head on. From the moment I walked through that door, has your wife, have your daughters, has this imposter who took everything that was mine, has any of them shown me even a shred of respect? Locking me out of my own home, is that your rules? Telling me to sleep in a storage closet, is that your rules? Screaming at me to get out, is that your rules? Smashing a vase over my head, is that what passes for rules in the Jiang family? My voice grew colder with each word and louder. If those are your rules, then I'm sorry I don't accept them. I hurled a wet wipe to the floor and swept my gaze across every person in the room. My eyes landed on Jiang Shanyue and stayed there. Since this family doesn't want me here, I won't claim you. I'll go. I turned to leave. Jiang Yinuo's heart leapt. He couldn't have wanted anything more than for me to walk out that door. Su Yuehua was barely holding back the words, then go. Stop. Jiang Shanyue's voice cracked like a whip. His expression shifted through several rapid changes. He didn't care whether I lived or died, but he cared enormously about what I might represent, the Tang family of the capital. That connection was the only stepping stone that could lift the Jiang family to the top tier into the capital's inner circle. He could not let me go. Fang Shichuan, I won't hear that kind of talk again. You are my son, this is your home. His tone left no room for argument. Your mother and sisters only said what they did out of worry for Yinuo. Don't take it personally. I stopped walking. I didn't turn around, but I didn't take another step toward the door either. Of course I wasn't going to actually leave. This was my battlefield. How could I walk away before every one of these so-called family members had paid what they owed me? Jiang Shanyue's hunger for the Tang family connection was my greatest protection. Seeing me stay, Jiang Shanyue allowed himself a quiet breath of relief. He turned to Su Yuehua and the sisters, his voice carrying a clear warning. I'll say this once more. Fang Shichuan is my biological son, your own flesh and blood brother. Anyone who shuts him out again or tells him to leave will not like what comes next. Dad, Jiang Wenxia called out, pressing a hand to her still aching face, unable to accept it. Be quiet. He shot her a sharp look. Look at the state of all of you screaming and hitting each other. What would people think if word got out? He turned to me last, his tone softening slightly. Fang Shichuan, the room is yours, as you said. Yinuo, you'll move to the guest room next door. Dad, Jiang Yinuo stared at Jiang Shanyue, disbelief written across his face, his eyes filled with tears, his whole body swaying. The sisters all erupted. Dad, Yinuo can't sleep in a strange bed. Dad, you can't do this. He's had that room for over 10 years. Jiang Shanyu rubbed his temples with irritation and brought the matter to a close. Enough. This is final. Shiyuan just came back. He needs time to adjust. You sisters need to be more accommodating. Yinuo, act your age. Jiang Yinuo lowered his head, hiding the towering hatred in his eyes. His nails dug deep into his palms. His voice came out choked but obedient. Yes, Dad, I understand. If he wants it, he can have it. I laughed inwardly. My expression gave nothing away. I had done what I came to do, taken the room, set the tone. No need to keep pushing for now. I looked to Jiang Shanyue and moved on to the next item. Mr. Jiang, now that I have the room, shouldn't everything in it also go back to its rightful owner? The worn furniture, the outdated clothes, none of that suits the Jiang family's eldest young master, does it? Think of how it would look. Jiang Shanyu just wanted to keep me in place. He waved a hand. Tomorrow your mother will take you shopping. Replace everything. My son uses nothing but the best. Suyuewa winced. That furniture was imported, top of the line, worth a fortune, and he was replacing it all with a single wave of his hand. But one look at Jiang Shanyu's expression left her with no choice but to swallow her frustration. This round was mine, and it wasn't close. That night, I lay on the soft, large bed that had once been Jiang Yinuo's. I could almost still catch his scent on the sheets. It turned my stomach. Didn't matter. Soon this space would be completely mine, and tomorrow, a new game was waiting for all of them. I slept soundly, no dreams. The next morning I came downstairs feeling sharp and refreshed. The dining room looked like something out of a family portrait. Jiang Shanyue sat at the head of the table, reading the newspaper. Suyuehua was tenderly placing a crystal shrimp dumpling into Jiang Yinuo's bowl. The sisters chatted and laughed around the table. Jiang Yinuo wore a soft, perfectly measured smile, as if yesterday had never happened. The moment I appeared, the laughter cut out. The air went thick. Jiang Yinuo set down his chopsticks and turned on a bright smile in an instant. Good morning! Come eat! He called toward the kitchen. Auntie-chan, add another set of cutlery, he's come down for breakfast. Perfectly considerate as always, perfectly likable as always. I scanned the table. No seat for me, of course. In my past life, I would have stood there awkwardly, waiting for the servant to add a spot for me, like a beggar who had wandered into someone else's banquet, awkward, humiliated. And then, the moment I went to sit, one of the sisters would quietly pull out the chair, sending sending me crashing to the floor and turning me into the joke of the table. Instead, I walked straight over. Every eye in the room went wide. I grabbed Jiang Yinuo by the collar and hauled him out of his chair. He had no time to react. A startled cry broke out of him. Fang Shichuan, what do you think you're doing? Let him go. The sisters erupted, all of them on their feet in an instant. I ignored them and gave Jiang Yinuo a casual shove backward. Not hard enough to knock him down, but enough to send him stumbling several steps. Then I settled calmly into the seat he had just vacated, picked up the chopsticks he had been using, wrinkled my nose, and tossed them aside. When there isn't enough room at the table, the extra person should have the sense to stand. I picked up a clean pair of chopsticks, my tone perfectly flat, as if I were stating something too obvious to bother explaining. I looked toward Zhang Shanyu, whose face had gone iron gray, and gave a slight smile. Am I wrong, Mr. Zhang? Who exactly is the extra person in this family? I enunciated those last words with particular care, my gaze sliding pointedly toward Jiang Yinuo, whose face had gone white as paper. The extra person, of course, was this fake young master. Jiang Yinuo's fists clenched tight. His whole body trembled slightly, humiliation and hatred threatening to swallow him whole. Before Zhang Shanyu could say a word, the sisters exploded first. Fang Shichuan, why do you insist on making Yinuo's life miserable at every turn? Zhang Wenxia's face had gone pale with fury. Dad, look at him. This is who you brought back into our home. Not an ounce of gratitude, and he just keeps piling it on Yinuo. Zhang Shanyu slapped the newspaper down on the table. I will say this one more. Fang Shichuan is my son, your own brother. He looked at the boy he had doted on since childhood, standing there looking wounded and helpless, and something in him ached. But the moment the Tang family of the capital crossed his mind, that ache was buried under the weight of ambition. He turned a cold stare on Suyuewa. What kind of mother are you? You couldn't even arrange a seat for him? Can't you see when the servants aren't doing their job? Suyuewa's chest burned with resentment. It was just a seat. Was this really worth all this? But one look at Jiang Shanyue's dark expression, and she swallowed every word. Jiang Shanyue turned to Jiang Wanxia, whose face was still tight with anger. Wanxia, you're the eldest. Act like it. Fang Shichuan is your own brother. Watch what you say from now on. After Jiang Shanyue's outburst, the dining room fell completely silent. Jiang Yinuo stood frozen, a chill rising from the soles of his feet straight to the top of his head, spreading through every inch of him. Jiang Shanyue's open favoritism chilled him to the bone. The words, your own brother, drove in like a blade. Was blood really all it came down to? 18 years of love and it crumbled this easily? He couldn't hold it in any longer. Tears spilling, he turned to run upstairs. Stay, I stopped him. The show was just getting started, the star couldn't leave now. I turned to Jiang Shanyu, letting just a hint of eagerness show on my face. Dad, now that I'm back, shouldn't we hold a homecoming banquet to announce to everyone that Jiang Shanyu's biological son has returned? I put heavy emphasis on biological son. For the sake of what needed to happen, I didn't mind calling him Dad for now. A single sentence and every face in the room shifted again. Every pair of eyes instinctively went to Jiang Yinuo. Jiang Yinuo stood with his head down, lips pressed together. The hatred inside him grew like something toxic and wild, but he couldn't let it out. He had to endure. He fought to hold his expression steady, then slowly lifted his head and produced a pale, fragile smile. Dad, he's right. Now that he's back, of course we should hold a homecoming banquet. It's the only way he'll know how much this family values him. I turned to look at him, my eyes carrying open, unmasked provocation. And while we're at it, we should let everyone know about Jiang Yinuo's status as an adopted son. The challenge in my eyes was too raw. Jiang Yinuo was barely holding himself together. He tugged the corners of his mouth into something resembling a smile. His eyes reddened. You don't seem to like me very much, he said softly. If you're still angry about yesterday, I'm sorry. Smart move. He immediately redirected and refused to take the bait. All he had to do was look wounded enough, and his sisters would charge in on his behalf. Sure enough, Jiang Wanxia was the first to come out swinging. Do you have to be this relentless? Jiang Wanxia glared at me. Can you think about Yinuo's feelings for even 1 second? We don't care about bloodlines. He will always be our brother. I gave her nothing. Why should I care about his feelings? Because of me, he spent 18 years living in luxury he never earned. Shouldn't he be on his knees thanking me? And what about you, Jiang Wenxia? When you act, can you stop making everything about Jiang Yinuo's feelings? Dad said it himself, I'm your real brother. Being insufferable cuts both ways. I glanced at Jiang Shanyue. His expression had darkened. If I can't return to this family as the eldest young master of the Jiang family, then there's no point in claiming this relationship at all. My position was clear. I'm not asking you to send Jiang Yinuo away. That's already my biggest concession. After all, if he was gone, who would I play with? Everyone else looked to Jiang Shanyue. Dad, this will destroy Yinuo. Dad, we could tell people they're both biological, say mom gave birth to twins back then. I stood up, my displeasure barely contained. Biological is biological. Adopted is adopted. You can't blur that line. Twins? Is he worthy of that? The Tang family of the capital crossed his mind, and Jiang Shanyue gave way again. Fang Shichuan is the rightful eldest young master of the Jiang family. The homecoming banquet will go ahead as planned. At that time, Fang Shichuan's identity will be made public, as will Yinuo's status as an adopted son. His voice carried the finality of a man who would not be argued with. I looked straight at Jiang Yinuo, every inch of me a provocation. This time, Jiang Yinuo truly couldn't hold it together. He ran upstairs in tears. The sisters immediately moved to go after him. Sit down and eat, all of you. Jiang Shunyue slammed his hand on the table. The sisters were desperate to go to him, but they had no choice. They sank back into their seats, seething. The looks they threw me could have stripped flesh from bone. Through all of it, a faint smile stayed on my face, contempt running deep behind my eyes. Jiang Shunyue saw every bit of it. In my past life, I had craved belonging. I had been ashamed of myself. So I endured, and I appeased, and I never once fought for what was mine. Because I stayed silent, Jiang Shanyu turned a blind eye, and I paid for that silence with years of suffering and humiliation. The title of eldest young master meant nothing to me, but it meant everything to Jiang Yinuo. That was exactly why I couldn't let him keep it. Jiang Shunyue didn't want to break Jiang Yinuo's heart, but he also couldn't give up the Tang family connection I represented. He hesitated for all of a second before agreeing to the homecoming banquet. The mood at the table was suffocating. The sisters had no appetite, they just waited for breakfast to end so they could go comfort their beloved brother. Up on the second floor, around the corner, Jiang Yinuo heard Jiang Shanyu agree to my demand. Hatred flooded into his eyes in an instant. His hands balled into fists. All those promises that had sounded so good. He would never be allowed to climb above me. I would always be the Jiang family's young master. It was supposed to be settled that when he came back, he would be the adopted son. And yet, in less than a day, he had lost his room, lost the title of eldest young master, and now had no home and no family left to call his own. I was in good spirits and helped myself to a little more food. Then I reached out a hand towards Suyuewa, smiling pleasantly. Mom, I need money. I'm going shopping for clothes. Suyuewa's brow tightened. She had always despised me, and right now I was making it worse. But with Jiang Shunyue sitting right there, she had no room to snap. She managed carefully. Fang Xiuan, there are plenty of nice clothes in your room already. I cut her off. You want me to wear the adopted son's hand-me-downs? Am I, the eldest young master of the Jiang family, not entitled to new clothes? I wasn't like I had been in my past life, blindly going along with everything, swallowing every indignity without a word. This life, I refuse to take a single slight. The only person making others miserable is me. Jiang Shanyu watched Su Yuehua stalling with visible irritation. Short-sighted woman. I've already told you who he's connected to. If we can get in with the Tang family of the capital, the Jiang family won't just be a name in City A, we'll be players in the capital itself. He cleared his throat and spoke in a tone that was more command than suggestion. Fang Xiuan is the son of this family, my son. Of course he doesn't wear old clothes. He wasn't with us growing up, we need to make it up to him. After breakfast, take him shopping. Get him everything current season, top brands, shoes, watches, bags, the full set. Don't embarrass us. The Jiang family had money, but Jiang Shanyu was not normally a man who spent it so freely. This was purely for the sake of the Tang connection I carried. You have to spend money to make money. It had come to this, so Suyua had no choice but to agree, and no place to put her resentment. Upstairs, Jiang Yinuo watched this unfold and felt something in him crack. Just this morning, she had been talking about taking him out to cheer him up. Now she was going shopping for someone else's clothes. What did that make him? 18 years of love outweighed by a drop of blood. All those years of being there and it was just a joke. The sisters shot me a look full of quiet resentment. Jiang Yinuo was going to be devastated when he heard about this. Jiang Shanyue looked over at me when he was done, and the image of enormous piles of money seemed to be waving at him from just behind my head. His expression warmed noticeably. Fang Xiuan, if you need anything, come to me. I've got your back. Buy plenty today. Tomorrow, go with your mother to enroll at Shichuan High School. I've taken care of everything, don't stress about it. It's just going through the motions. The college entrance exam is just a formality, your future is already sorted. Shichuan High School. The name tugged the corner of my mouth up slightly and put a cold gleam in my eye. My memories of that school from my past life ran very deep. We rode in Suyuehua's luxury car, the atmosphere suffocating. Jiang Yinuo had of course come along, under the guise of helping me choose. He spent the whole ride with his arm hooked through Suyuehua's, reminiscing about childhood memories, the two of them laughing warmly together, a deliberate performance of closeness designed to make me feel like an outsider. In my past life, it might have stung, I might have felt the envy gnaw at me. Now it just sounded like two flies buzzing in my ear, annoying and nothing more. Jiang Yinuo noticed my blank expression and couldn't help himself. Why don't you share some memories from your childhood? We'd all love to hear. I turned and fixed him with a cold stare. What exactly do you want to hear? How I went hungry and wore rags and rolled around in the mud? Or how, while you were living in luxury here, I was out there suffering in your place? My words were blunt and merciless. The smile froze on Jiang Yinuo's face. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry. His eyes reddened. He waved his hands frantically, the picture of a deeply wronged innocent. Fang Xiuan. Su Yuehua sprang to his defense immediately. Yinuo means well. Can you stop acting like you have thorns on every side? Watch your mouth. My very existence is the sin, apparently, haven't you heard? I gave a cold laugh. Would you prefer I take it out on you instead? A mother who lost her own son, without a shred of remorse, spending every day shielding an adopted child while tormenting her biological one. What a fine mother you are. My voice dripped with sarcasm. They say history has seen wives cast aside for mistresses. Now we have a biological son cast aside for an adopted one. Madame Su, you truly are one of a kind. Suyue's face went red, her neck flushing with fury. The words rushed up, then she slammed on the brakes. She couldn't say the one thing she wanted to say most, that I wasn't her biological son. If I ever found out I wasn't Jiang blood, Jiang Shanyue would never forgive her. I held her gaze, pressing forward. What? If you have something to say, say it. Watch Watching her expression like she'd swallowed something foul, I felt my mood lift considerably. The worst was still ahead of her. She'd better get comfortable. The rest of the ride passed in silence, except for the occasional hollow attempt from Jiang Yinuo to start a conversation which I ignored entirely. We arrived at the most upscale shopping center in City A. I didn't waste any time. I headed straight for the luxury brands. Su Yuehua followed behind, her hand trembling each time the card was swiped, her expression growing darker by the minute. Jiang Yinuo was gutted. The jealousy was eating him alive. This kind of unlimited, take whatever you want treatment, he had never had it, not once in his life. Whenever he shopped, he always had to read Su Yuehua's and the sisters' moods, always had to appear sensible and frugal. This couldn't go on. He had to do something. He took a slow breath, pressed out a gentle smile, and turned to Su Yuehua. Mom, you must be exhausted after all this walking. Let's find somewhere to sit down and rest. Su Yuehua was already agonizing over the mounting total. She grabbed onto the suggestion like a lifeline. But I spoke first, looking down at Jiang Yinuo with lazy contempt. Nobody asked you to come. If you're tired already, go home. Don't kill the mood. Jiang Yinuo immediately looked flustered, his eyes reddening. That's not what I meant. I'm just worried about Mom. Enough. Su Yuehua's temper flared back up. Fang Shichuan, Yinuo's being thoughtful, and you've bought more than enough already. Know when to stop. I smiled and held up the black card Jiang Shanyue had given me, letting it catch the light. I'm the eldest young master of the Jiang family. Why should I know when to stop? You owe me 18 years. A few clothes is nothing. My expression cooled. If you're so tired, go home. I'll call Dad and have him come settle the bill for whatever I want. That move again. Su Yuehua's and Jiang Yinuo's faces both darkened instantly. This was a naked threat, and they both knew it. Of course Su Yuehua couldn't leave me here alone. She bit down, forced herself to keep walking beside me, her expression the color of a sky before a storm. We walked into a flagship store of a top-end brand. I tried on clothes as if I were the only person in the room. Su Yuehua noticed Jiang Yinuo's low mood. 18 years of raising him, she couldn't help herself. She gave him a gentle nudge and whispered, Yinuo, go pick a few things you like. Jiang Yinuo declined a few times for appearances, then quietly followed her to browse, his mood visibly lifting. He came out in a new white shirt, turned in front of the mirror and smiled. Mom, does it look good? Jiang Yinuo loved white. The shirt made him look more delicate and well-behaved than ever. Beautiful. Our Yinuo looks good in everything. Su Yuehua smiled with open warmth. I let out a perfectly timed scoff and stepped out of my own fitting room. On me, a sharply cut black biker jacket over a deep crimson shirt. The combination was wild and commanding, the kind of presence that filled a room. There's a mirror right there, don't you know what you see? I looked Jiang Yinuo up and down, my tone merciless. Look at that frame of yours. Shoulders too narrow, height too short. That white shirt makes you look like a kid who snuck into his dad's wardrobe. Jiang Yinuo's face went from white to red in an instant. He was trembling with humiliation. Why are you humiliating me like this? His voice cracked with a sob. Telling the truth is humiliation now? I stepped over, took him by the shoulder, and pulled him in front of the floor-length mirror. I pointed at our reflections. One, delicate but slightly frail. The other, sharp-featured, tall, presence fully turned on. The difference was obvious. Look for yourself. Did I say anything wrong? I let him go and gave his shoulder a firm pat, not a gentle one. Some things can't be forced, little brother. Presence for one. Jiang Yinuo was so furious he nearly blacked out. Su Yuehua pulled Jiang Yinuo behind her and jabbed a finger at me. Fang Shichuan, where are your manners? I laughed, cold and sharp, and matched her volume. Manners? You want to talk to me about manners? In the past 18 years, did you raise me? Did you teach me anything? Anyone in this world has the right to talk to me about manners. You are the one person who doesn't. Su Yuehua was left speechless again. Yinuo, why are you crying? A slightly sharp female voice cut through the moment. I looked up. 3 stylishly dressed, self-important young women walked in through the entrance. Feng Heir, Bai Qingxi, and Situ Nana. These 3 were Jiang Yinuo's classmates and admirers, all from families with some standing. In my past life, they had helped him humiliate and crush me more times than I could count, of all the people to run into. The 3 of them crossed the floor quickly, pausing briefly to greet Su Yuehua. Then Feng Heir took hold of Jiang Yinuo's hand with concern. Yinuo, who upset you? Was it him? Her gaze landed on me without warmth. Jiang Yinuo shook his head and forced out a smile worse than crying. Heir, nobody hurt me. I just wasn't paying attention. She wasn't buying it. Bai Qingxi had a sharp, aggressive personality. Her mother had climbed her way into a family through an affair, and Bai Qingxi had inherited every trick of that ruthless playbook. She stepped forward and looked at me with open mockery. What kind of world are we living in? An adopted kid bullying the real young master? Absolutely disgraceful. Situ Nana chimed in with passive-aggressive sweetness. Because there are too many shameless people who can't read the room or their place in it. The 3 of them dissolved into laughter, contempt plain in their eyes. Jiang Yinuo was quietly delighted, but he played the part of someone desperate to de-escalate, pushing them toward the exit. Heir, Qingxi, please just go, alright? I'm begging you. His pleading only convinced them further that he was being mistreated. They were furious on his behalf. He wanted a clean exit. I had other plans. I stepped to the doorway and blocked their path. What's the rush? These are my brother's friends. His older brother should get acquainted. My tone was lazy and faintly amused. Feng Heir and the others already had a problem with me. Seeing me block the door only made it worse. Bai Qingxi sneered. A country bumpkin crawling in from nowhere? You think you're worthy of knowing us? Ask yourself. Feng Heir was loftier still. No need for introductions. Just remember who you are. And remember who the real young master of the Jiang family is. An adopted son shouldn't reach for things that were never his. She stepped forward, trying to meet my eyes, but the height difference between us took the edge off her authority. We are Yinuo's friends. Situnana added, squaring her shoulders. We will not stand by while someone like you mistreats him. We have his back. Zhang Yinuo looked like he was standing on a hot stove. I was done wasting words on them. My gaze moved to Zhang Yinuo, and I made sure every person in the room heard what came next. Zhang Yinuo, as the adopted son, take your friend's advice to heart. An adopted son shouldn't reach for what was never his. Remember who the true eldest young master of the Zhang family is. Those words hit like a thunderclap. Zhang Yinuo went bloodless. Feng Arya and the others stood with their mouths open. Fang Shichuan, Su Yuehua cried, barely holding herself together. Zhang Yinuo could barely stay upright. I took my time enjoying their expressions. Then I pulled out my phone, dialed Zhang Shanyue, and put it on speaker. Dad, I let a thread of hurt and anger into my voice. Did you catch what was just said? Your daughters, your wife, and now your adopted son's friends, none of them accept who I am. They all rally around Zhang Yinuo at every turn. I can't stay in this family for another second. I said what I needed to say and ended the call. Zhang Shanyue's call hit Su Yuehua's phone immediately. Even through the speaker, his roar was audible across the room. In the end, under Zhang Shanyue's direct orders, Su Yuehua and Zhang Yinuo were forced to apologize to me in front of Feng Arya and her friends, and to reaffirm my status as the eldest young master of the Zhang family. The three women cycled through shades of pale and flushed, and the looks they gave Zhang Yinuo carried something new, something complicated and searching. Zhang Yinuo felt the humiliation unlike anything he had ever known. The image he had spent years carefully building, I had torn it apart today, piece by piece. I watched all of it with satisfaction. I picked up my chosen items, told the store assistant to have everything delivered to the Zhang residence, and walked out without a backward glance through a sea of resentful, stunned, and unreadable stares. Outside the mall, a sleek black car sat waiting at the curb, understated but unmistakably commanding. The window rolled down to reveal a face of striking beauty with a wild edge underneath. My closest friend, and the only person alive who knew the truth of my rebirth, Shen Wanqing. She curved her lips into a smile. Shiwan, get in. I've got something worth watching. I pulled open the door and got in. The car pulled smoothly away. Through the window I could see Zhang Yinuo, Su Yuehua, and the whole group Feng Arya and her friends included standing outside the mall entrance, their expressions grim. And then several figures shot out from the crowd like ghosts, something in their hands, and before anyone could react, they hurled the contents straight at the group. Shrill, terrified screams tore through the air above the shopping district. An indescribable stench began to spread. It was sewage. Zhang Yinuo, Su Yuehua, Feng Arya, Bai Qingxi, Situnana, and Jiang Wangzhe, and Jiang Mengling, who had followed shortly after, not one of them was spared. Soaked from head to toe, the filth clinging to their hair, their faces, their expensive clothes, the crowd around them erupted into chaos. People scattered and phones came out everywhere. Inside the car, Shen Wanqing handed me a cup of milk tea, grinning like a fox. Well, satisfied with your welcome home gift? I watched the scene outside, chaotic, reeking, utterly humiliating, and let a cold, deeply satisfying smile pull at the corner of my mouth. Well done. This is only the beginning, Zhang Yinuo. My dear sisters, everything you owe me I will take it back, with interest. Xingchen High School will meet tomorrow. The car rode smoothly on the road back to the Jiang residence. Shen Wanqing handed me a warm cup of milk tea, her own blend, as perfect as it always was. Shichuan, the campus forum, and a few local hotspot forums are all set up. High-definition, uncensored, multi-angle close-ups. I took a sip of the milk tea. Sweet and smooth, it washed away the last of the afternoon's irritations. Efficient as always. With people like them, this is exactly the right approach. Shen Wanqing leaned back lazily against her seat, but her eyes were sharp as ever. Let them find out what public humiliation really feels like. I turned to the window, watching the streets blur past, my gaze cold. In my past life, Zhang Yinuo and his little circle of admirers, along with my beloved sisters, had spread lies about me across the campus forum and every social platform they could reach, until my reputation was destroyed. This life, I'm simply giving them a taste of their own medicine. By the time I got back to the Jiang family villa, it was 10 o'clock at night. The moment I stepped inside, I found Jiang Shanyue on the living room sofa, his expression far from pleasant. Su Yuehua, Jiang Yinuo, and the sisters were nowhere to be seen, probably locked in their rooms scrubbing furiously. That kind of smell doesn't go away quickly. So you do know how to come home. Jiang Shanyu looked up when he saw me, visibly relieved, though his tone carried a clear reprimand. Why wasn't your phone reachable? And skipping dinner, what kind of behavior is that? I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. Black. Oh, dead battery. I said it without much interest, then deliberately sniffed the air and frowned. What's that smell? Something's off in here. I glanced around the empty living room, as if something had just clicked. Ah, right, Dad. Did you have dinner with them tonight? Jiang Shanyu blinked. I did. Why? I immediately put on an expression of both deep admiration and mild disgust, giving him a thumbs up. Impressive, Dad. I genuinely respect you. Eating a meal with that smell on them. Just picturing it turns my stomach. Jiang Shanyu's expression went strange. His throat moved involuntarily. He hadn't noticed anything at dinner. But now that I'd said it, something in his stomach turned. What are you talking about? He said, irritated. Talking nonsense? I raised an eyebrow and held up my dead phone. Useless as a device, but it didn't stop me from describing things. Dad, haven't you seen what's all over the internet? High-definition footage, close-up photos, Zhang Yinuo, Su Yuehua, my beloved sisters, and Feng Arya's little group, all doused in sewage right outside the shopping center, in the middle of the city. The comments are saying people could smell it blood through their screens. I clicked my tongue twice and went straight for the throat. Jiang Yinuo always fancied himself some refined gentleman, the campus heartthrob. Well, he's gone from heartthrob to the sewage prince overnight. And Feng area and the others, always looking down on everyone. Now they're the laughingstock of the whole city. I'd love to see how they show their faces at school tomorrow. Every word landed like a poisoned blade, driving into Jiang Yinuo and the others who were hiding nearby, listening, and draining the color from Jiang Shanyue's face. This touched the Jiang family's reputation. Enough! Jiang Shanyue's voice dropped into a warning. He rubbed his temples with irritation. I'll handle this. From now on, stop provoking them. I provoke them? I gave a short, scornful laugh. Dad, you've got it backwards. They were the ones snapping at me like mad dogs. I was just out shopping today, minding my own business. Whatever came down on them, they brought it on themselves. What does any of that have to do with me? I had no interest in arguing further. I turned and headed upstairs. At the corner of the second floor landing, I ran straight into Jiang Yinuo. Fresh out of the shower, hair still dripping. His face was pale, his eyes red and swollen. The moment he saw me, his body went rigid. A flash of barely concealed hatred crossed his eyes. Hey, he called out in a low voice, hoarse. I covered my nose and took 2 steps back, my face a portrait of disgust. Stay away from me. How many times have you washed and you still smell like that? Has it soaked into your skin? Jiang Yinuo's face flushed crimson instantly. His whole body trembled with humiliation. He looked like he was about to grind his teeth to dust. Fang Shichuan, you've gone too far! A furious shout came from nearby. My dear eldest sister, Jiang Wangxia. She had clearly just showered too, her expression ugly beyond words. She jabbed a finger at my face. Was it you? Did you do this? The moment you left, everything went wrong. It must be you, you jinx! I spread both hands, all innocence. Jiang Wangxia, you need evidence before you make accusations. Feng area is the deputy mayor's daughter. An incident this big will have the police involved. Do you have any proof I was behind it? Wait for the official report. Honestly, I think all of you have just spent too long offending people with that sharp tongue of yours. It's called karma. You, Jiang Wangxia was left speechless, reduced to glaring at me with pure venom. Enough! All of you, not another word! Jiang Shanyue's voice rose from downstairs. Haven't you caused enough? Chaos for one day? Jiang Wangxia stamped her foot in frustration, grabbed the tearful Jiang Yinuo, and retreated to her room. I watched their backs disappear and smiled coldly. We were barely getting started. The next morning when I came downstairs, the atmosphere in the dining room was even more strained than the day before. Jiang Shanyue was gone, off to the office early most likely. Su Yuehua, Jiang Yinuo, and the sisters sat around the table, each looking haggard, dark circles heavy under their eyes. None of them had slept well. The moment I appeared, it was as if someone had hit mute on the entire room. Even the sound of cutlery against plates became quieter. Jiang Yinuo instinctively drew his neck in, refusing to meet my eyes. I walked straight to his usual seat and sat down. A servant scurried over with fresh cutlery, visibly nervous. No one said a word. Strength is the only thing that earns respect. I ate at a leisurely pace, letting my gaze drift across Jiang Yinuo's pale, fragile face. Jiang Yinuo, Jiang Yutong, are you going to school today? Both of them stiffened at the same moment. You've seen the campus forum, I assume. I made no effort to hide my gloating. You're celebrities now. The sewage prince and the sewage princess. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to show up anywhere. Jiang Yinuo bit down on his lips so hard it was nearly bleeding. Jiang Yutong snapped her head up and glared, mouth opening. I kept going. Especially you, Jiang Yinuo. That campus heartthrob title of yours is gone for good. You'll probably need a gas mask every time you step outside so people don't recognize you. You're just too famous now. Fang Xiuan, Jiang Yutong finally snapped. She slammed her hand on the table and shot to her feet. Are you done? If it weren't for you, Yinuo never would have ended up like that. I cut her off, my gaze going cold in an instant. Jiang Yutong, did the sewage damage your brain? Did I tell him to stand there and let people throw things at him? You caused trouble and then blame me. Do all of you think I'm that easy to push around? I set down my chopsticks and stood. The sheer physical presence of it made Jiang Yutong take half a step back without thinking. Let me make this clear. My gaze moved slowly across every person at the table, including a pale-faced Su Yuehua. I didn't come back here to take grief from any of you. When I had no family and no one to answer to, nobody dared give me trouble, so why should I swallow it now that I found a home? What's the point of a home like that? My voice wasn't loud, but it carried a sharp, biting cold that seemed to drop the temperature in the room by several degrees. Anyone who makes my life difficult will have me making theirs difficult for the rest of theirs. If anyone doubts that, feel free to try. I pushed back the chair and walked out. Butler Qian, have the car ready. We're going to school. Butler Qian bowed immediately. Yes, young master. Behind me, the dining room had gone completely silent. Jiang Yinuo stared at my retreating back, the poison in his eyes almost something you could touch. Just wait, Fang Xiuan. Let's see how arrogant you are once we're at school. Xingchen High School, the finest private high school in the city, gathering the sons and daughters of nearly every powerful family in town. The black car pulled up at the school gates. I stepped out, bag slung over one hand, the brand new school uniform somehow managing to look wild and commanding on me, in a way that set me apart from every fresh-faced or pampered student around me. I drew stares the moment I arrived. Who's that, new student? He's good looking, and the presence on him. Which class? Never seen him before. Transfer? At the same time, plenty of other looks carried something more wary and searching, and the whispers followed. Did you see the campus forum? Oh my, Jiang Yinuo and them. Shh, keep it down. That's the real Jiang Heir they just brought back, Fang Xiuan. That's him? He looks like trouble. Jiang Yinuo really picked the wrong fight this time. I heard what happened at the mall yesterday. This guy might be behind all of it. My hearing was sharp. Every word reached me. The corner of my mouth curved, just slightly. Shen Wanqing never disappoints. The campus forum was already running hot. Hey, a voice came from beside me, performing warmth that didn't mean I didn't need to turn around. Jiang Yinuo and Jiang Yutong had arrived. Jiang Yinuo wore a gentle smile, as if yesterday and this morning had simply never happened. Jiang Yutong walked beside him, looking at me like I was her sworn enemy. Let's go in together. I'll take you to the admin office to register. Jiang Yinuo stepped forward and reached for my arm. I stepped aside. No need, I know where it is. His hand froze in midair. The smile on his face didn't shift, but something dark flickered behind his eyes. The crowd around us was watching more closely now. Jiang Yutong couldn't hold back. She let out a sharp sound of contempt. Fang Shichuan, don't be ungrateful. Yinuo is being kind to you. Yutong. Jiang Yinuo quickly pulled her back, shaking his head to stop her. Then he gave me an apologetic smile. We'll go ahead then. I watched their retreating figures, that performed closeness, and smiled coldly. Let's see how long you can keep up the act. Following the directions I'd been given, I made my way to the admin office. The teacher assigned to receive me was a middle-aged woman in gold-rimmed glasses who looked like she'd been born with a sour expression. She pushed her glasses up and looked me over, her gaze carrying the practiced condescension of someone looking down from a great height. She'd clearly heard about me, or Jiang Yinuo had gotten to her first. So you're Fang Shichuan. Her voice was flat. Your enrollment file has been transferred. You're in Year 3 Class 1, our top academic class. I expect you to follow the rules and not drag the class down. She put deliberate weight on top class and drag it down. The message was clear enough. Someone like me, coming from the countryside, had no business being there. I said nothing. I just looked at her calm. My gaze seemed to unsettle her. She cleared her throat and held out a timetable. This is your class schedule. Your homeroom teacher is Teacher He. Office is on the second floor. You may go. I took the timetable and turned to leave. At the door, I stopped and glanced back. Teacher Zhang, you have something in your teeth. Teacher Zhang froze, her hand flying up to cover her mouth, her face flooding red. I let the corner of my mouth curl and walked out. I had barely reached the base of the main building when someone blocked my path. 3 tall guys in basketball jerseys. The one in front had a buzz cut and a mean look. Captain of the school basketball team and one of Fang area's most devoted lapdogs. His name was Shilei. Hey, you're Fang Shichuan? Shilei crossed his arms and planted himself in front of me. The two behind him looked just as unfriendly. I raised an eyebrow. Something you need? Word is you've got quite an attitude. First day back and you're already going after Jiang Yinuo. Shilei stepped closer, trying to use his height as pressure. Unfortunate for him that he was slightly shorter than me. And what happened to Feng area and the others? I'm warning you. Stay away from Jiang Yinuo and Feng area, or you'll regret it. I smiled. The kind that carries contempt and mockery in equal measure. Make me regret it? I took a step forward until we were nearly nose to nose. My eyes were knives. You? Shilei was thrown by my presence. He stepped back half a step before he even realized it, and then the embarrassment turned to fury. Don't get smug. He hadn't finished the sentence before I moved. The finger he'd been jabbing at me I caught and snapped sharply backward. A crack rang out, the kind that made your teeth ache. Shilei let out a scream like a stuck pig and doubled over in pain. His two companions went pale and started surging forward. I released Shilei's finger while he was still grimacing and hadn't recovered. I drove a kick into his stomach. Thud. Shilei's near 2-meter frame went flying, crashing into the flower bed behind him and curling into a ball, moaning. The other two stopped dead in their tracks, staring at me in horror, no longer moving. I dusted off my hands. There was nothing on them, and looked at the two of them. Anyone else? They shook their heads rapidly and said nothing. The students gathered around were stunned silent. The looks they gave me were full of awe and something close to fear. This guy is brutal. He just laid out Shilei without even blinking. I gave them no more attention and headed straight for the Year 3 building. I'd barely reached the classroom door when I heard the noise from inside, and a familiar voice. Zhang Wanxia. She was the physics teacher for Year 3, Class 1. Some students seem to think that having connections gives them the right to do whatever they please. This is a place of learning, not a stage for showing off. And whatever filth belongs out there on the street, leave it there. Every word was aimed. Her sharp gaze cut straight to me as I stepped through the door. Every eye in the classroom turned to me, curious, surprised, gloating. And one pair, just like Jiang Yinuo's, flickering with a brief flash of satisfaction. I met Jiang Wanxia's cold stare without a trace of nerves. If anything, there was the faintest hint of a smile on my lips. Jiang Wanxia, is that really your opening move? How unimaginative. Dear sister, let our game begin right here in this classroom. Year 3, Class 1. The flagship science class of Shichuan High School, home to the best academic minds in the year and the most prominent family names in the city. I stood in the doorway meeting Jiang Wanxia's cold stare and the classroom's many different looks, and for a moment it felt like my past life all over again. That transfer student who had tiptoed through everything and been shut out at every turn. But this time was different. Reporting in, my voice was level, carrying nothing. Jiang Wanxia adjusted her glasses. Behind the lenses, her gaze was knife-sharp. She didn't let me in. Instead, she said coolly, "Student Fang Shichuan, late on your very first day. Is this how you approach your studies?" I glanced at my watch. My tone stayed easy. "Teacher Jiang, there's still a minute before the bell. If this counts as late, then at least half the students in that classroom are late too." A few muffled laughs came from inside the classroom. Jiang Wanxia's expression darkened. She hadn't expected me to talk back in front of everyone. "Sharp tongue. Even if you're not late, cutting it this close shows a careless attitude. The top class has its standards, unlike the places you came from. The bias in that was hard to miss." I smiled smiled, though my eyes went colder. Teacher Jiang, the first thing my teachers back home taught me was to deal in facts. So I take it the top class operates on unfounded accusations? You, Jiang Wenxia was struck speechless for a moment, chest rising and falling. She was furious. She drew a deep breath, forced the anger down, and pointed to an empty seat in the back row next to the waste bin. Your seat is there. I hope you'll behave yourself and not disturb the others. The worst seat in the entire room. I shrugged, indifferent, and made my way to the seat under a mix of sympathetic and entertained stares from the class. As I passed Jiang Yinuo, he gave me a look, worried on the surface, quietly triumphant underneath. Don't take it personally, he murmured. Teacher Jiang, she's just strict. It's nothing. I ignored him. When I sat down, the students on either side instinctively scooted their chairs away, as if proximity to me might be contagious. Jiang Wenxia began her lesson, electromagnetic induction. The material was genuinely challenging. She taught clearly and had real ability, but her eyes kept drifting toward me, carrying undisguised scrutiny and contempt. This next problem was the final question from last year's physics competition. It has some difficulty. Any volunteers to try it on the board? She wrote a complex problem on the blackboard. The classroom quieted. It was genuinely difficult, drawing on multiple concepts applied together. Jiang Yinuo's brow furrowed slightly, working through it. He was the class physics representative, consistently at the top. A few of the strong physics students were eager to try, still working through their scratch calculations. Jiang Wenxia's gaze swept the room and came to rest on me. A barely perceptible cold smile tugged at her lips. Student Fang Shichuan, you've just transferred in from another area, so your foundation may be a little weak. Still, it's admirable to try. Why don't you come up and let everyone see what you can do? Her tone was layered with provocation and the anticipation of watching someone embarrass themselves. Every eye in the class found me again. A flicker of satisfaction crossed Jiang Yinuo's eyes. He knew exactly how hard the problem was. Even he needed time to work through it. Someone like Fang Shichuan, fresh from the countryside, how could he possibly solve it? Going up there would only mean humiliating himself. Everyone expected me to back down, or to drag myself up there and make a fool of myself. I set down my pen and, under the expectant stares of Jiang Wenxia and Jiang Yinuo, slowly stood. Sure, not loud, but it carried to every corner of the room. Under the stunned gaze of everyone present, I walked to the front, picked up a piece of chalk, and began writing on the board with almost no pause. Let the effective length cutting through the magnetic field lines be L, with velocity fifth, applying Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction and accounting for the self-inductance of the coil. We use the infinitesimal element method here. My writing flowed without hesitation, each step clean, the logic airtight, and the approach even more elegant than the solution Jiang Wenxia had in mind. The chalk moved across the board with a crisp, rhythmic sound, as if tapping against each person's chest. The classroom was completely silent. Only the sound of chalk remained. The cold smile on Jiang Wenxia's face had long since frozen and dissolved, replaced by raw shock. The approach was more elegant than the reference solution she knew. How could a struggling transfer student from the countryside be doing this? Jiang Yinuo's eyes were wide, locked on the blackboard, every trace of color gone from his face, as if he were seeing a ghost. In under 3 minutes, I circled the final answer, set down the chalk, dusted off my hands, and looked at Jiang Wenxia. Teacher Jiang, I'm finished. Is it correct? Jiang Wenxia stared at the complete, flawless solution on the board. Her mouth opened and closed. Nothing came out. Someone in the classroom started clapping. No one knew who went first. Scattered applause followed, and then it grew warm and genuine. These top students might sideline a transfer student, might enjoy watching one fail, but real ability was something they still recognized and respected. I looked at Jiang Wenxia's iron gray face and at Jiang Yinuo's hollow, absent expression and laughed inwardly. If you're going to humiliate someone, do it in the arena where they're most sure of themselves. In my past life, they had sabotaged me, and I had failed the college entrance exam. But in the years of drifting that followed, I had taught myself university-level physics on my own. I had even made real progress in certain areas of the field. A high school competition problem was nothing. Lucky, I suppose. I may have come across something similar before. Jiang Wenxia finally found her voice and forced a recovery. Sit down. Pay attention in class. Don't let one problem go to your head. I didn't bother responding. I walked back to my seat, unhurried, under a classroom full of complicated stares. For the rest of that lesson, no one looked at me like I was just a kid from the countryside anymore. When the bell rang, Jiang Wenxia left the classroom with something that looked a lot like fleeing. I had just packed up my things and was heading out for some air, when a figure stepped in front of me, Jiang Yutong, who shared a classroom with Jiang Yinuo right next door. What did you do to Wenxia? Jiang Yutong demanded, furious. She'd clearly already heard. What could I have done to her? I raised an eyebrow. I answered her question, that's all. What? Can't teacher Jiang handle losing? Don't give me that. You must have pulled some dirty trick. Jiang Yutong's voice was shrill. I'm warning you. Stay away from Wenxia and Yinuo, or I'll make you regret it. That line again. My gaze went cold. I stepped forward into her space. Jiang Yutong, have you already forgotten this morning's lesson? Or are you looking for your own turn to be put in your place in public? The physical pressure of my height drained the color from her face. She stepped back instinctively, then tried to recover with volume. You wouldn't dare. Try me. My voice was flat and cold. See whether I dare or not. The coldness in my eyes stopped her. She bit down, threw out a, This isn't over, grabbed the anxious-looking Zhang Yinuo beside her, and walked quickly away. I watched them go, my gaze unreadable. Zhang Yinuo, this is only the beginning. Whatever you care about, I will take apart. Your grades, your reputation, the sister's devotion. I will grind all of it down piece by piece with my own hands. At lunch, I slipped away from the crowd and made my way to the school rooftop. Shen Wanqing was already there, 2 elegant lunch boxes in hand. Shichuan, first blood drawn. She smiled and held out one of the boxes. I heard you wipe the floor with that female teacher. The Jiang one? I took the box and opened it, my favorite dishes inside. Small victory. Jiang Wanxia is just the beginning. We leaned against the railing and ate, looking out over the whole campus below. The campus forum is still running hot, Shen Wanqing said. Jiang Yinuo and those women haven't shown their faces anywhere public today, but the moves they make behind the scenes won't stop. I nodded. Jiang Yinuo, his sisters, and Feng Area's circle. None of them would let this go quietly. Oh right, something came to Shen Wanqing. Word from Minga Hall, the Feng family and the Situ family are still throwing money at finding the Phantom Healer. Situ Ji's offer has already tripled. Situ Ji was Situ Nana's mother. In my past life, she had helped Feng Area make my life difficult more times than I could count. I remembered, she suffered from a rare neurological condition, tormented by severe pain year after year. I took a sip of water. Tell them the Phantom Healer isn't taking visitors right now, and send our little gift to Deputy Mayor Feng. Little gift? Shen Wanqing raised an eyebrow. A detailed file on Deputy Mayor Feng's beloved son, his high-stakes gambling at overseas casinos, and suspected money laundering. The corner of my mouth curved into something cold. Let him find out what it feels like to have his hands full of fires. Shen Wanqing smiled. Understood. Consider it done. At that moment, my phone vibrated. An encrypted message through a special channel. I opened it. A direct message from the deep web. The sender, Jiang Yutong. The message was brief, carrying a barely concealed urgency and deference. Dark Ace, are you there? I have an urgent situation. Some false information on Xingchen High School's campus forum homepage can't be deleted. The back-end permissions appear to have been tampered with. I've tried everything and failed. If you're available, could you offer some guidance? Payment is not an issue. Reading the message, I could almost picture Jiang Yutong at her screen, pulling at her hair, completely at a loss. The defense and anti-deletion system on the campus forum was something I had set up casually the night before. That Jiang Yutong had managed to detect the permission tampering at all showed some ability, but breaking through it, not a chance. I typed a reply at my leisure, with the kind of price that makes people flinch. Solvable. 500 crypto, payment first, solution after. The reply came quickly, shock and distress woven through every word. 500 crypto? That's an extraordinary amount. Is there any room to negotiate? I closed the message window. She didn't have the standing to haggle with me. Shen Wanqing leaned over and glanced at the screen. Nobody squeezes them dry quite like you, Shichuan. 500 crypto would wipe her out. She brought it on herself. My voice was flat. In my past life, Jiang Yutong had used her hacking skills to clean up Jiang Yinuo's messes more times than I could remember. She had even tampered with my exam scores. This lesson was light by comparison. Still, she found you, which means she has real ability. Shen Wanqing tapped her chin. Should we give her something more memorable to chew on? I shook my head. Not yet. She's more useful to me alive and intact for now. I need bait, to draw out whatever deeper connections she might have behind her. Something told me that for Jiang Yutong to have reached this level of skill at her age, there had to be more to the story. And the deep web ran deeper than most people knew. All afternoon, Feng Area and the others kept huddling in whispers. I didn't need to think twice about what they were planning. After school, I noticed Bai Qingxi leave the classroom first. Feng Area and the others showed no intention of leaving. I knew exactly what that meant. I told Shen Wanqing to head to the cafeteria first. She didn't question it. These people were no match for me, and she knew it. Feng Area and her group were visibly excited to see me alone. They had been prepared to handle both of us if needed, but we had split up, which made things simpler for them. Jiang Yinuo was about to step forward and lure me toward the rooftop, when he saw me already heading that way myself. After what I had put them through yesterday, they couldn't wait to tear me apart. The moment I stepped onto the rooftop, I found Bai Qingxi waiting. I spoke first, unhurried. What? Looking to relive yesterday? The mention of yesterday contorted her face with fury, but the thought of what was about to happen to me put her in a better mood. So what if you're the real Jiang Heir? You're worthless. You'll always be something we play with. You'll find out soon enough what happens when you cross us. With that, Feng Area and the others filed in. Besides Jiang Yutong, they had brought 4 male classmates along. Jiang Yinuo shut the rooftop door, his expression vicious. He made it clear. Today, he intended to destroy me completely. Feng Area directed the 4 guys to surround me. Not a flicker of panic crossed my face. I looked at this pack of fools overstepping themselves. Don't waste my time. All of you, come at once. Feeling the provocation, Feng Area's temper ignited. Get him, pin him down. The 4 guys moved first. I showed no mercy. These 4 had spent enough time running with Feng Area and her crowd, causing plenty of their own damage. I put them down one by one. Feng Area and the others felt the first stab of unease. How is he this good? Jiang Yinuo's eyes had already drifted toward the door. I had quietly positioned myself right in front of it. Anyone who wanted to leave would have to get through me first. From the moment I arrived at school that morning, I had never intended to let Feng Area's group walk off this rooftop easily. Feng Area and the others didn't dare make a move, so I went on the offensive. 1 slap each, I knocked them all to the ground in turn. Jiang Yutong, keeping watch outside, heard that something was wrong and rushed to bang on the door. Open up! Open the door! I let my lips curve, delivered herself right to me, might as well include her. I opened the door. Jiang Yutong took in the sight of everyone else laid out on the floor, and the fury poured out of her. You've got some nerve. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? I gave her a look, pulled her inside, and slammed the door shut. Jiang Yutong glared at me with pure fury. Crack. I slapped her before she could say another word. Stop shrieking. No one but my father has ever hit me. I'll kill you. Jiang Yutong pressed her hand to her face and screamed. Bai Qingxi and the others stared at what had been done to Feng Erie's hair and went pale with despair. I held up the electric clippers and gave them a little wave. Don't struggle. This is my first time cutting hair, but I've picked up a bit of technique just now. I'll try to keep my hands steady. Bai Qingxi burst into tears. Please, not my hair. I'm begging you. I'll never do it again. Are you stupid? My voice came out cool and flat. Would you prefer eating Feng Erie's hair instead? That shut the crying off instantly. Under their looks of complete despair, I went through them one by one with the clippers. Jiang Yutong didn't get skipped. Once it was done, I pulled out my phone and took a thorough set of photos. Then I walked to the sink and washed my hands, talking as I went. Jiang Yinuo, didn't I tell you to stay away from me? 2 days in and you still haven't learned, so now you're pushing your sisters out front. Everything that happened to them today is on you. In my past life, the 4 of them had been perfectly united in making mine a misery. Now I wanted to see whether that unity was still holding. I walked out feeling genuinely good. Revenge really does clear the head. In the cafeteria, Shen Wanqing had already filled a tray with my favorites. I handed her my phone. Take a look. This is what I've been up to. Shen Wanqing took the phone and scrolled through the photos. Impressive work, Fang Xiwan, you truly are ahead of your time. Always setting the trends. I steered the conversation back to the matter of Mingde Hall. We hadn't been talking long before my phone rang. Jiang Shanyue. The moment the call connected, his voice came through like a thunderclap. Neither Shen Wanqing nor I said a word. At that moment, the school intercom crackled to life. Feng Xiwan of Year 3, Class 1, please report to the principal's office immediately. The voice was fast and urgent. Anyone of Feng Area's group came with family connections that weren't to be taken lightly. Now that something had happened to all of them at once, on school grounds, Shen Wanqing and I acted as though we hadn't heard a thing and continued eating at our unhurried pace. The intercom came on again. Feng Xiwan of Year 3, Class 1, report to the principal's office immediately. Faster this time. More urgent. We finished eating before we bothered moving, strolling over at our own pace. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing in my pocket. Inside the principal's office, the parents of Feng Eria, Situ Nana, Bai Qingxi, and the others had all arrived. Jiang Shanyue was there too, surrounded by an angry wall of parents. Principal Lin wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, visibly panicked. Feng Eria's father, Feng Guang, slammed his hand on the desk. Principal Lin, what kind of school are you running? We've been waiting for you to bring one student in and it takes this long. Do you have any idea how valuable our time is? Principal Lin managed an apologetic smile. A teacher has been sent to find him. He should be here shortly. The door to the principal's office flew open with a kick. Feng Guang was standing closest and had no time to get out of the way. The door hit him squarely. Jiang Shanyue and Principal Lin rushed over to help Feng Guang up. I walked in with complete ease and sat down directly in the principal's chair. The moment they saw me, Feng Eria and the others surged forward with renewed boldness, their parents at their backs, each one suddenly much braver. I grabbed the teacup from the desk and slammed it to the floor. Feng Eria and the others caught my smile, that quiet, unsettling one, and the memory of the fear from earlier hit them. They all turned to their parents and started talking at once. Dad, he's the one who hurt me. Mom, he hit me. He cut my hair. You can't let him get away with this. Feng Eria's voice was vicious. Bai Qingxi followed with tearful accusations. Dad, the Jiang family doesn't respect us at all. He cut my hair. He slapped the Situ family in the face. Situ Nana refused to be left out. Jiang Yinuo and Jiang Yutong were both desperate to pile on, but seeing their father's iron expression, both of them thought better of it, and simply hoped that this incident would be enough to drive me out of the Jiang family once and for all. Bai Qingxi's mother, Bai Lili, spoke up with barely contained fury. Jiang Shanyue, the Jiang family owes the Bai family an explanation for this. My daughter was beaten like this. She looked like she wanted to tear me apart. In all her years of climbing to where she was, no one had ever dared hit her in the face this way. If she weren't worried about appearances, she would have. Jiang Shanyue, we want a satisfactory answer. Jiang Shanyue looked at me with barely suppressed fury, silently asking what sins he must have committed to be paying this much before he'd gotten a single benefit from me. You will kneel and apologize to your classmates right now. I gave a short dismissive laugh and leaned back. Apologize? Are you joking? Even Shen Wanqing beside me let out a laugh. My gaze moved across the room. Jiang Shanyue, before you ask me to apologize, shouldn't you ask me why I went after them in the first place? I paused. Actually, don't bother. Apparently no reason justifies what happened to these poor classmates. Bai Lili was first to speak, her chest heaving. Do you have any idea how important someone's hair is? At your age and this vicious already, why didn't you go to a teacher? To the principal? I smiled at her. The principal is in your pocket, and if going to teachers did any good, the classmates they bullied before wouldn't have had to transfer out. Situ Jie turned her eyes on Jiang Shanyue and pressed forward. An apology means nothing. What your child did is a direct insult to the Situ family. In truth, this was nothing more than a minor incident. These families were simply using it as a lever to extract something from the Jiangs. Jiang Shanyue had wanted me to apologize, to smooth things over between the families, but I wouldn't, so he had no choice but to swallow his anger and turn to Jiang Yutong to ask what had actually happened. Jiang Yikong and Jiang Yinuo both looked deeply uncomfortable uncomfortable, hesitating and stalling. I had no interest in wasting time. They cornered me on the rooftop and planned to teach me a lesson. In my great kindness, returning good for evil, I helped them with their hair. Liar! You attacked us the moment you saw us! Bai Qingxi held firm on her version. You hit me the moment you walked in. Then Feng Erya and Situ Nana arrived, and you hit them too. You didn't even spare your own brother. And then you dragged your own sister in and beat her too, and cut all our hair. How can someone be this cruel? Bai Qingxi sobbed through every word. Bai Lili pulled Bai Qingxi into her arms. Look at Feng Shichuan. Not a scratch on him. Open your eyes. It's not just my daughter, it's Feng Erya too. They're all injured. Jiang Shanyu pressed his fingers to his temples. Kids get into scrapes. That's normal. Let's not let this damage the relationship between our families. He glanced at me. Feng Shichuan, apologize to them. I stood and met Jiang Shanyu's gaze. Apologize? Not going to happen. If that's what you want from me, you'd be better off cutting ties. Jiang Shanyu felt a stab of genuine pain in his chest. He breathed slowly, steadying himself. The Tang family of the capital stood behind this boy. He could not afford to lose his temper. Feng Shichuan, can you please just apologize? Why should I? It wasn't my fault. I turned to leave. Bai Lili stepped in front of me. Did I say you could leave? Nothing has been resolved. Who gave you permission to go? Even Principal Lin moved to block the way. Shen Wanqing stepped forward and, with one solid kick, sent Principal Lin sliding into the doorframe. I caught Bai Lily's pointing finger in my grip. Didn't your mother ever teach you it's rude to point? I said, applying pressure. Ow! Ow! Let go of me. I hadn't originally intended to get more involved. Jiang Shanyue could handle a cleanup, but Bai Lili had put herself right in front of me, and I changed my mind. Isn't it clear enough? You all know exactly what your daughters have been doing in this school. I'm not the first student they've gone after. Do you think if any of this came out, the Bai family's business would come out of it clean? I turned to look at Feng Guang and Situ Ji. Deputy Mayor Feng, feeling confident about that seat of yours? My tone was ice cold. I decided I wanted a real fight now. I settled back into the chair and raised a hand. Shen Wanqing produced a phone. On it, years of documented evidence of Feng Erya and her group bullying other students. One glance was enough to drain the warmth from Feng Guang and the others. He couldn't understand it. He had handled all of this himself. How was it possible that anyone still had access to it? Bai Lili and the others exchanged a look. Every face reflected the same thing, shock and a sudden pallor. I could have held this back. It still had uses down the line. Deputy Mayor Feng, no need to panic. All I want today is an apology. At those words, Feng Guang immediately pulled his child forward. Feng Erya and the others had been indulged their whole lives. The idea of apologizing to someone they had bullied was outrageous to each of them. In the end, Feng Guang physically pressed Feng Erya's head down into a bow. The other parents followed. I felt genuinely satisfied watching Feng Erya and the others' humiliation, but it wasn't enough. I wanted them on their knees. A verbal apology was meaningless. In my past life, when they had helped Jiang Yinuo torment me, they had forced me to my knees and made me bow my head more times than I could count. I wanted every one of them to know what that felt like. Just picturing their faces, desperate, humiliated, filled me with deep satisfaction. The words landed like a grenade in the room. Not just Feng Erya's group, even Feng Guang and the other parents went still. Kneel and apologize. What an extraordinary humiliation. In your dreams, Feng Erya's eyes went red with fury. That's enough. Don't push this too far, Bai Lili said through her teeth. Too far? I held up Shen Wanqing's phone and gave it a light wave. What your daughters have done is far worse than this. You're welcome to refuse. Feel free to band together and see whether you can weather what comes next. Bai Lili and the others looked as though they'd swallowed something foul. They couldn't afford to gamble. Feng Guang and the others looked to Jiang Shanyue. Jiang Shanyue had no choice but to force himself to speak. Feng Shichuan, do this for me. You came out of today in one piece. Shen Wanqing picked up the fruit knife from the principal's desk and spoke with perfect calm. If I stab you right now, not fatally, just enough to cripple you, and then offer you a breezy little apology, that's fine, right? After all, you didn't die. Jiang Shanyue didn't dare respond. The woman behind me had provoked them, one too many times, and Situ J had had enough. Young people should be careful about talking big. This is still City A. Mutually assured destruction helps no one on your side. Situ J, isn't it? I said easily. I hear your family's survival depends on Ming Dehal's medicine. Without waiting for a response, Shen Wanqing took out her phone, dialed Ming Dehal right there in front of her, and cut off the Situ family's and Feng family's supply. Situ J let out a dismissive scoff. You think Ming Dehal takes orders from people like you? Don't make me laugh. That's one of the biggest names in medicine. Beyond the hospitals, Mingde Hall itself is a massive resource hub with a phantom healer behind it. People with real power have gone to Mingde Hall on their knees for treatment. Some who tried to push their weight around from both sides of the law were gone by the next day. You can imagine what that place is capable of. But the moment Shen Wanqing ended the call, both Situ J's and Feng Guang's phones buzzed. A message from Mingde Hall, terminating their business relationship with both families. Mingde Hall actually listened to her? Feng Guang's eyes went wide. He couldn't get a word out. Bai Lili was shaken for a different reason. The Bai family had been trying to get in with Mingde Hall for years, with no success. Situ J's voice lost all its hardness. This is all a misunderstanding. We'll apologize. Shen Wanqing looked at them with flat, unhurried coldness. Kneel. Otherwise the Situ family and the Feng family cease to exist. She gave a small, deliberate cough and tilted her chin up slightly. When a child goes wrong, the parent bears the blame. We're not asking you to kneel, that's already generous. Bai Lili grabbed Bai Qingxi by the arm. Kneel, apologize. Feng Guang and the others followed, ordering their children to do the same. Feng Arya and the others were having none of it. Every one of them resisted fiercely. Bai Lili's patience snapped. She slapped Bai Qingxi across the face. Kneel. If you don't kneel today, get out of this family. I have no daughter like you. Offending Mingde Hall meant the Bai family's ambitions in the capital could collapse at any moment. Or worse, the Bai family itself could be destroyed. Bai Qingxi was shaken by her mother's expression. The humiliation was almost unbearable, but in the end she dropped to her knees with a thud, and said each word slowly and clearly. I'm sorry. I was wrong. After that, Feng Arya and the others, each having received their share of pressure, followed her down, grinding out their apologies through clenched teeth. Sorry. Feng Arya raised her voice on the last word. Are you satisfied now? She began to rise. Who said you could get up? The moment those words left my mouth, Feng Guang shot forward and pressed Feng Arya back down, glaring at her. We've all knelt. What more do you want? He demanded, looking at me. I rested my chin on one hand. Not everyone is here yet. Wait until everyone is present. Once all the apologies are done, you may stand. The ones who had come at me today weren't just this group. Feng Arya's 4 tag-alongs were still unaccounted for. I had no intention of letting them off. With no other option, Principal Lin had no choice but to call the 4 students over the intercom. The 4 guys heard the summons and assumed it was just to talk through what had happened. After all, in this school, Feng Arya's group were the big fish. The 4 of them had their story ready. Once they got inside, they were going to lay out every accusation against me in full. But the moment they walked into the principal's office and saw what was inside, they froze. The 4 of them rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Feng Arya and the others were actually on their knees in front of me? Had the world gone mad? How was this possible? Get in here. The 4 of them shuffled in trembling and lined up behind Feng Arya's group, barely managing to get the words out. Principal, I said it calmly. Kneel and apologize. The sooner this is done, the sooner we all get back to class. The 4 of them dropped obediently to their knees. They hated every second of it. But if Feng Arya's group had knelt, what choice did they have? We're sorry. Please forgive us. Good. Now let's talk about the consequences. Feng Arya raised her head and shot me a resentful look. I reached over and gave her cheek a light pat. What? Not happy about this? Did you think a simple apology was all it would take? Jiang Yinuo looked like he was in genuine pain. All he wanted was to leave, for this to be over. He truly had not expected me to have someone this powerful behind me. The jealousy was eating him alive. With Shen Wenqing in the picture, the chances of getting me out of the Jiang family had dropped to almost nothing. But if I stayed, his position would only get harder to hold. In the end, all 8 of them received a serious disciplinary mark on their records. I didn't push for expulsion. The torment wasn't over yet. Principal Lin let out a long breath. What a close call. At least he hadn't been dragged down with them. Then my gaze landed on him. Feng Arya's group had spent years bullying students at this school. Those students had come to this office, and time after time he had covered for the bullies. A person like that had no business being a principal. So, do you leave on your own, or do we show you out? Principal Lin went rigid. He looked toward Feng Guang, hoping for some kind of intervention on his behalf. Feng Guang was never going to offend us for his sake. He straightened up with an air of moral authority and spoke. I agree. It's time for a change. I'll be joining with the other parents to report this principal's misconduct. Covering for wrongdoing is unforgivable. With that, Shen Wenqing and I walked out of the principal's office. Back in the classroom, I logged onto the campus forum and posted Feng Arya and the others' new looks. They were well known enough around school, but I thoughtfully included their names and class numbers anyway. The campus forum had been buzzing for days already. The moment the post went up, students swarmed to it. When they saw Feng Arya and the others' new hairstyles, a great many students were quietly delighted. These people had lorded it over everyone for years, and finally someone had put them in their place. The comments underneath were unanimous. Karma was real. After kneeling and apologizing, Feng Arya and the others went home to another round of severe scolding. Feng Arya and Situ Nana had cost Situ Ji her access to Mingde Hall's medicine. They were nearly punished within an inch of their lives. The Feng family and the Situ family had reached their current standing largely because of the marriage alliance between them. If anything were to happen to Situ Ji, the bond holding the two families together would inevitably weaken. And then there was Bai Qingxi. The Bai family was in the middle of pushing into the capital, and they had now offended Mingde Hall. Even without Mingde Hall actively moving against them, that ambition was going to face enormous obstacles. Bai Qingxi's father heard what had happened and rushed home immediately. He beat her for it. Jiang Yutong was also summoned home. All the children were called back, except for Jiang Mengling, who was away filming. When Jiang Wanxia and the other sisters came home and saw what had been done to Jiang Yinuo's and Jiang Yutong's hair, every one of them erupted. Who did this? Jiang Yinuo didn't dare say a word. They all pointed the blame at me without a second thought. Who else could it have been? That jinx. Not a single peaceful day since he came back. Jiang Wenxia was first, then Jiang Xia. That ungrateful wretch. Shut your mouths, Jiang Shanyue snapped. His eyes locked on Jiang Yinuo. Jiang Yinuo, do you not last a single day without stirring things up? Have I not told you both to leave Fang Shichuan alone? Why won't either of you listen? Jiang Shanyue was shaking with anger. Every time they provoked me, every sign of my rejection of this family, it all fed his fury. He couldn't hold it in any longer. He strode up to Jiang Yinuo and struck him across the face. Once, twice. The rest of the Jiang family went still. None of them had expected that. Dad, how could you do that to Yinuo? Third sister spoke up. Close your mouth, Jiang Shanyue said. You don't know what happened, so don't stand there mouthing off. Jiang Shanyue, still burning with fury, went through what had happened at midday, and issued another warning to all of them. Jiang Yinuo, he is your older brother. Know your place. I am warning all of you in the strongest terms, be civil to him. If any of you go after him again and make an enemy of him, don't expect me to go easy on you. Jiang Yinuo had never found time so hard to endure. Fang Shichuan seemed to have some connection to Mingde Hall. Jiang Shangyue then laid out the full story for the family. Jiang Xia was a doctor. The moment Mingde Hall was mentioned, her eyes lit up. Every doctor's ultimate dream was to work in one of Mingde Hall's elite hospitals, and to one day meet the Phantom Healer. Her throat tightened. Dad, don't worry, we'll treat him properly. We won't let him feel unwelcome again. She wanted a way into Mingde Hall, and she was hoping I could open that door. It would take her career somewhere she had never imagined possible. Jiang Yinuo stared at his fourth sister, unable to believe what he was hearing. They had all promised he would always be their only brother. They would never accept Fang Shichuan. How many days had it even been? Jiang Yinuo felt a cold panic spreading through him. The thing he had feared most was happening. I was going to take everything he valued, piece by piece. Jiang Wanxia noticed Jiang Yinuo's expression and gave a small, deliberate cough. Only then did fourth sister Jiang Xia seem to remember Jiang Yinuo was in the room. She showed no guilt whatsoever. Instead, she turned to address what had happened. Yinuo, how could the two of you do something like this? Bullying classmates, if any of this gets out, the Jiang family's name will suffer. Did you even stop to think about that? But she had grown up alongside him, and that affection showed. Her tone softened toward the end. Dad is right, we're all family. Yinuo, Shichuan is home now. Having an older brother is a good thing. Jiang Yinuo recoiled inwardly. He didn't want a brother. What he wanted was to be the Jiang family's one and only son, the one and only eldest Jiang master. But he couldn't say that. He tugged the corners of his mouth into something resembling a smile and said quietly, yes. Jiang Xia chimed in agreeably. Then it's settled. We follow Dad's lead. We're one family, and as his sisters, we'll treat Shichuan well. Jiang Xia was the president of the Jiang family's company. Mingde Hall's influence didn't stop at medicine. It reached deep into the business world as well. If Mingde Hall's support could be secured, the Jiang family's struggling company could rise again, and breaking into the capital would no longer be just a dream. The blows kept landing. His fourth sister had just turned on him, and now even his second sister was speaking up for me. Jiang Yinuo's panic was real. Everything that belonged to him was slipping away piece by piece. Seeing two of his daughters show such sense, Jiang Shangyue felt some of his anger begin to ease. He glanced at Jiang Yinuo beside them, and offered a few words of reassurance. Yinuo, we have more than a decade between us. Don't read too much into this. You will always be our son. Jiang Yinuo nodded, and said nothing. As for the homecoming banquet, I intend to do it properly. A grand occasion. I want all of City A to know that Fang Shichuan is my son. After all, the relationship between Fang Shichuan and the Jiang family was strained right now. A grand banquet would help repair that. Yinuo, your status will be made public at the same time. Don't worry. The bond we've built over all these years doesn't disappear just because there's no blood tie. You are still our son. The more Jiang Shanyu said, the colder Jiang Yinuo felt inside. A grand banquet for Fang Shichuan. Couldn't they see how much that would hurt him? None of them cared about what he was feeling. The realization settled over him like ice. This time, no one pushed back against Jiang Shanyu's words. Nobody was going to say no to the wealth and influence that Mingde Hall could bring. Once Jiang Shanyu left, Jiang Yinuo deliberately knocked the wig from his head, hoping the sisters would see and rise up on his behalf. Jiang Wanxia and the others stared in shock. Yinuo, what happened to your hair? Jiang Yinuo's eyes reddened slightly. He waved it off quickly. It's nothing. It has nothing to do with my brother. It's my own fault. Jiang Wanxia heard that and was about to explode when second sister Jiang Xia cut in ahead of her. In that case, Yinuo, why don't you head back to your room? Jiang Yinuo didn't want to go, but he had no choice. He turned slowly, deliberately, making sure they could see the tears on his face. Jiang Yutong and Jiang Wanxia were aching to go after him. Jiang Xia stopped them. Some things couldn't be avoided. If they wanted a real relationship with me, they couldn't afford to keep putting Jiang Yinuo first. Jiang Wanxia stared at the closed door, her voice strained. Xia, Mengling, didn't we agree we'd work together to talk Dad out of the homecoming banquet? Didn't we agree Yinuo would always be our brother? And just now, you all saw what's happened to Yinuo's hair. Fang Shichuan did that, and none of you are going to do anything? Wanxia, do you have any idea what Mingde Hall represents? Jiang Xia pushed up her glasses, her eyes bright. The Jiang company has been declining year after year. If we can get a connection to Mingde Hall, we won't just become the leading family in City A overnight. Breaking into the capital becomes a real possibility. Jiang Xia's dream was to take the company into the capital before her time was up. Yinuo mattered, but not more than that dream. Besides, the Jiang family had treated Jiang Yinuo more than generously, given him a life of luxury and comfort. But the bond we've built over all these years, Jiang Mengling cut her off. Wanxia, if the Jiang company collapses, everything you have right now vanishes with it. Without the company, how are you going to pay for those designer bags you love so much? Are you going to trade your years of memories for them? Jiang Wanxia fell silent. So did Jiang Yutong. The comfortable lives they were living came from the company. Yinuo mattered, but the company mattered more. Because of what Jiang Xia had said, none of them went upstairs to comfort him. Jiang Yinuo heard every word from the corner of the second floor. What remained of the warmth inside him went completely cold. He had thought at least one of them would come up. He had been ready, waiting for the moment so he could put on a convincing performance comments, telling them how I had cut his hair, how I had humiliated him. That evening I came straight home after school. I walked into the living room to find something unusual. Everyone was there, except Jiang Mengling, who was away filming. Su Yuehua came toward me with practiced warmth the moment she saw me, her face full of smiles. Shichuan, you're back. First day at school? Are you settling in? Are you tired? I didn't answer. I walked past her without stopping. Jiang Xia and the others all greeted me warmly, as if the past 2 days had never happened. Come sit over here. Even Jiang Yinuo called out to me with apparent enthusiasm. He had come to terms with it. If nothing could be changed, he would accept it for now. If he kept pushing against me, he would only find himself drifting further from the people in this house. Jiang Shanyu watched all of this with visible satisfaction. This was how a family should be. Jiang Yinuo was wearing a wig, hiding the new style I had given him. A shame. I found a seat, and as I passed Jiang Yinuo, I accidentally knocked the wig off his head onto the floor. Jiang Yinuo let out a startled sound and scrambled frantically to pick it up. Oh, my mistake. I looked at him with complete innocence. In that moment, Jiang Yinuo desperately wanted his sisters to say something. None of them did. He had no choice but to swallow the fury and force out something that barely passed for a smile. I murmured under my breath, "Bad luck coming off you. Better keep my distance." A murmur it may have been, but everyone in the room heard it clearly. Jiang Wenxia had the lowest tolerance for me. The provocation landed and she snapped immediately. What is that supposed to mean? Jiang Shanyue cut her off at once, the warning plain in his eyes. Is that how you speak to your brother? Jiang Wenxia loved Jiang Yinuo above everything, even enough to disregard what Mingde Hall represented. Jiang Shanyu managed a conciliatory smile. Shiwan, your eldest sister is just in a bad mood. Don't take it to heart. I gave a half smile. Still carrying the sewage incident around, is she? I spread my hands. Didn't she file a report? How's that going? Deep down she knows exactly how many enemies she's made, getting doused in sewage. Honestly, is anyone surprised? Jiang Wenxia's chest heaved with barely contained fury. The investigation had turned up nothing, and that was exactly why she was taking it all out on me. Forget it. Nothing worth saying to any of you. Bad energy. I said it and stood, already moving for the door. Shiwan, don't go. We need to talk about the homecoming banquet. There are some details that need your input, Jiang Shanyu said. The moment Shen Wanqing's connection to Mingde Hall came to light today, these people had suddenly rushed to discuss the homecoming banquet with me. Before, even when forced to agree, not one of them had lifted a finger to move it forward. Talk? What's there to talk about? Fang Xiuan, don't push your luck, Jiang Wanxia shouted. Jiang Shanyu glared at her. If you don't want to be here, get out, and apologize to Shiwan, now. He was genuinely furious. Jiang Wanxia had no choice but to apologize, humiliating as it was. Then she retreated to a corner and made herself as small as possible. She couldn't afford to antagonize me, so she said nothing. But I wasn't done with them. I kept dropping things in, one by one. The homecoming banquet, once my brother's status is announced publicly, do you think he'll hate me for it? Jiang Yinuo produced a smile worse than crying. Of course not. I'm glad you're back. You are mom and dad's biological son after all. Jiang Wanxia, why aren't you smiling? Aren't you happy about the banquet? Or do you just not smile? You're overthinking it. Of course your sister is happy. Jiang Yinuo, friendly reminder. Stay away from me at the banquet. Standing next to me would lower the overall standard. When the conversation had run its course and my plate was empty, I turned and headed upstairs. Jiang Wanxia and the others stared at their untouched food, too furious to eat. I had controlled every moment of that dinner with mockery and barbs, and they hadn't managed to get in a single question about Mingde Hall. After some thought, Jiang Shanyue couldn't let it go. He came upstairs and knocked on my door. I was in the middle of a video call with Shen Wanqing. The interruption put me in a bad mood. I pulled the door open with an irritated expression. What do you want? I want to establish a connection with Mingde Hall. I almost laughed. I gave him nothing. Connect with Mingde Hall? The Jiang family? Worthy of that? Jiang Shanyu hadn't expected me to be that blunt. He stood there, at a loss for what to say. I had no interest in prolonging it. I shut the door in his face. Jiang Shanyu's fury surged. He wanted to kick the door in, but the thought of my connection to Mingde Hall stopped him, and he swallowed it. Meanwhile, Jiang Yutong slipped quietly into Jiang Yinuo's room. She found him sitting alone in front of the mirror, lost in his thoughts. Her heart ached for him. He startled at her entrance and quickly pulled his wig back on. Yutong, what are you doing here? Jiang Yutong crossed to him and gently wiped the tears from his face. I'm sorry, she said softly. I should have protected you better. The tears fell faster. He shook his head. It's not your fault. Jiang Yutong gave a short, contemptuous sound. He knows someone at Mingde Hall. He's not Mingde Hall. A nobody from the countryside. Does he really have the standing to get Mingde Hall to work with our family? Dad and the others just can't see straight right now. Desperate people grasp at anything. Yinuo, you have my word. I will always be on your side. I'll make sure he can't last at that school. Jiang Yutong's hatred for me ran bone deep. Jiang Yinuo pressed his lips together. Yutong, about those posts on the campus forum today. Wanxia said they can't be deleted. As long as those 3 posts are up, people will never stop mocking us. First the sewage incident, now this. Just thinking about it made Jiang Yinuo's jaw clench. Jiang Yutong's expression wasn't much better. The comments under the posts were getting worse by the hour. Jiang Yinuo couldn't let them stay up any longer. He couldn't take the looks his classmates were giving him. What if we get Dark Ace to delete them? It's just that 500 crypto is a lot. Her own photos were up there too. Under the weight of that reality, Jiang Yutong finally agreed. The post had to go. otherwise they'd never be free of them. Jiang Yunuo pulled Feng Heir and the others into a group chat and raised the idea of getting the post deleted. At first, the news that deletion was possible put Feng Heir's group in good spirits. Then they heard the price, and the enthusiasm drained out of all of them. Their families had money, yes, but they weren't given unlimited access to it, just an allowance. It stung, but in the end, they came to an agreement. Jiang Yutong reached out on the deep web. I read the message from Jiang Yutong, thought it over, and decided to take the job. Money was money. But the previous price had been 500 crypto per post. 3 posts meant a different calculation entirely. I'd give them a discount. 200 million would do. I typed it out and sent it. Jiang Yinuo nearly leapt out of his chair. They had already been scraping together for 100 million, and after today's disaster with the parents, none of them dared ask for more. Now, it was 200 million. Where were they supposed to get that? Jiang Yutong told the group. Dark Ace was the top operator on the deep web. His prices were never low. Looking at his past jobs, this amount was on the smaller end. She had also spent the past 2 days reaching out to others on the deep web, and found no one who could do it. The system I had set up wasn't particularly complex. The reason everyone she contacted had failed was simple. Jiang Yutong's standing in the deep web was weak. Everyone she could reach was at the same level as her. The truly capable ones were entirely out of her network. The only reason she had Dark Ace's contact at all was because I had deliberately planted it when I was working close to Jiang Yinuo's circle. They couldn't believe it. 1 day had passed and the price had doubled. They pushed Jiang Yutong to go back and negotiate. Jiang Yutong refused. The deep web wasn't a market stall. You didn't haggle there. In the end, Jiang Yinuo deployed his tears, and Jiang Yutong caved under the pressure. She sent the message to Dark Ace, deeply unhappy about it. I saw the negotiation message and nearly laughed out loud. I thought about it and sent back 300 million. Jiang Yinuo stared at the reply and went completely blank. Who negotiates like that and ends up with a higher number? Jiang Yutong's face burned. Those extra hundreds of millions felt like her idol mocking her personally. Jiang Yinuo and the others still didn't want to accept it, but none of them dared send another negotiation message. In the end, with no other option, they agreed to the 300 million price and had the post deleted. They had scraped together everything they could and still fallen short. Eventually, they had to tell their families. In the end, every family contributed. After all, those posts were an embarrassment to them too. You couldn't leave that kind of stain sitting on the internet forever. Less than a minute after Jiang Yutong sent the payment, all 3 posts on the campus forum were gone. Jiang Yutong was awed by the speed. Her admiration for her idol surged, while simultaneously feeling like her heart was bleeding at the cost. One morning, I came downstairs to find the whole family already assembled at the table. Not a single pair of chopsticks lifted, all of them waiting for me. Every one of them greeted me warmly, fussing and attentive, performing the picture of a real and loving family. I found it almost funny. The Tang family and Mingde Hall together, what power. The people who had looked down on me in my past life, who had insulted and tormented me without a second thought, were now wagging their tails in front of me like dogs, but their good faces meant nothing to me. The family warmth I had once craved and never found, I didn't want it anymore, especially not from these people. At breakfast, I kept at it, finding fault at every turn. Whatever Jiang Yinuo reached for, I took first. The moment he so much as glanced at me twice, I got in ahead of him. Why do you always go for the same things I want? You two are probably just incompatible, someone offered. When I saw Jiang Wanxia speak up for Jiang Yinuo, I turned to her directly. Wanxia, is there something going on between you and Jiang Yinuo that we don't know about? Why else would you be this devoted to an adopted son? After I finished with Jiang Wanxia, Jiang Yinuo leaned toward her and murmured, that's just how he is. A boy from the countryside, completely without manners. He didn't realize I heard every word. I spoke, my tone flat and cool. Of course I have no manners. Haven't you all been saying I'm just a country boy? Jiang Yinuo, seems like you've forgotten. The people who were supposed to be raising me were busy raising you. As I said it, I stood, grabbed the edge of the table with both hands and flipped it. I turned and walked out, fuming. Behind me, the Jiang family's screams rose up, a rather pleasing sound. Su Yuehua stared at the wreckage on the floor, still shaking, and let her temper loose. This is the person you insisted on keeping? Look at this. The household has been in chaos since the day he came back. Jiang Shanyu looked at her coldly. If you can't say something useful, keep your mouth shut. A sharp crack. He slapped her. Have you forgotten everything I said yesterday? The reason he's this hostile toward us is because when he first came home, you, his mother, failed to protect him and welcome him properly. Of course he carries resentment now. Is that really so hard to understand? Su Yuehua pressed a hand to her face. Whatever she wanted to say, she swallowed it. He turned to Jiang Wanxia. What kind of eldest sister are you? You know Fang Shichuan is connected to Mingde Hall and you still carry on like that? Jiang Wanxia looked at the mess on the floor and felt her own frustration about to boil over. Jiang Yinuo spoke up quietly. Dad, I didn't mean to. I didn't think you'd get this upset over something like that. You what? Jiang Shanyu cut him off. Jiang Yinuo, do you not understand your own position in this house? Fang Shichuan not liking you. That's understandable. So why do you keep provoking him? Can you not just stay quiet? Jiang Shanyu was genuinely furious. Then he saw Jiang Yinuo's ashen face and thought of the arrangement with the Bai family. His tone lost some of its edge. I'm sorry. That was too harsh. Yinuo, I need you to understand. I'm doing my best to balance things between the two of you. We've raised you all these years. Of course we don't want you to suffer. Jiang Yinuo nodded obediently valiantly and said nothing. Inside, he was laughing bitterly. Time slipped by. 2 months passed in what felt like an instant. Every day, I stirred up trouble in the Jiang household, keeping it in a constant state of chaos. Throughout that time, the 5 sisters Jiang Shangyue and Su Yuehua all took turns pressing me, demanding I connect them to Mingde Hall. Every attempt got deflected. They'd also tried going through Shenwanqing. They got nowhere. The Jiang family's patience was wearing thin. Jiang Shanyue's manner toward me had cooled from what it had been. The only thing stopping him from going too far was the Tang family standing behind me. Jiang Wenxia slammed her hand on the desk. You handed in a blank paper? People like you are a waste of educational resources. Even a pig sitting this exam would outscore you. Why are you even taking the college entrance exams? Go back to the fields. She was furious enough to shake, but with Shen Wanqing and Mingde Hall to consider, she could only direct all of it at me. I hadn't expected Jiang Wenxia to finally snap after 2 months of holding herself in, and to do it here in school. Jiang Yinuo couldn't hold back either. He let out a snide remark. Teacher, you know how it is. Fang Shichuan grew up in the countryside. He's never had access to this level of education. Handing in a blank paper is hardly surprising. Exactly, Teacher Jiang. A poor kid from nowhere, and you're expecting him to understand questions this advanced? He only got in because his family bought his way in. It's pathetic. Having someone like that in our class drags everyone else down. Bai Qingxi seized the opening and piled on. She hadn't forgotten what happened that day. None of them had. Once someone had started, Situ Nana and Feng Eria couldn't hold back either. They all joined in. Jiang Wenxia made no move to stop them. She was watching me, waiting. She had expected me to lose my temper. Instead, I sat completely calm, not a word of theirs landing on me. The absence of a reaction only made her angrier. Have you no shame at all? Can you not take your studies seriously? Teacher, I cut across her. I handed in a blank paper because the exam was too easy. I don't pay attention in your class because your teaching isn't worth paying attention to. And everything you teach, I already know. There is nothing about you worth learning from. The classroom went silent. No one had expected me to say something like that. Shen Wanqing let out a burst of laughter. Shichuan, leave the woman a little dignity. Teacher Jiang may be a bit slow and a bit dim, but she's not entirely without merit. We should be considerate of people with limitations. Jiang Wenxia's face went dark as a storm. My teaching isn't worth your time? You already know everything I could teach you? The arrogance! Then sit down and do this practice exam right now. Let me see whether you're a genius or just all talk. I leaned back in my chair, unhurried. It's just a test. I'm not scared of it. I just find it dull. What an opportunity, Jiang Yinuo said immediately. If it's so dull, why not make it interesting? How about a wager? I had been here 2 months. In every class, he had never once seen me pay attention, and I had handed in blank papers every single time, except for that one problem on the first day. He had become more and more certain I had just gotten lucky, that I must have encountered that problem before. 2 months of suppression. Jiang Yinuo desperately needed an outlet. If this could be the moment, it humiliated me. All the better. A wager? I straightened up, suddenly interested. Now that's interesting. What did you have in mind? Or, more importantly, what do all of you have in mind? Where's the fun in just the 2 of us? Let everyone in. Jiang Yinuo looked at me with complete confidence. If you outscore me on this paper, I'll clean the toilets for a month. If you don't, you clean them for a month. You can be the chief toilet officer. How's that? I wrinkled my nose. That wager was beneath me. Even winning it wouldn't do much. Seeing my silence, Jiang Yinuo pushed further. Are you scared? Didn't you just say you already know everything the teacher can teach? If that's true, what's wrong with the wager? Jiang Wenxia knew Jiang Yinuo had done exceptionally well on this paper. She was quick to jump in. Then name your terms. We'll match whatever you want. I let a smile tug at the corner of my mouth. The days had been dull, and here they were, lining up to entertain me. I thought for a moment. I prefer something tangible. I'd guess you all have property in your names? Jiang Yinuo went rigid. He hadn't expected me to go this big. Property. That was his last line of security. If the day ever came that he was pushed out of the Jiang family, his property was all he would have left. Jiang Yinuo hesitated. Fine, we'll wager, but you only have 2 properties in your name. What are you putting up against all of us? Jiang Wenxia gave Jiang Yinuo a subtle look. Patience. She was the one who had marked Jiang Yinuo's paper. He had performed exceptionally this time, except for the final question, which was slightly beyond the syllabus and cost him 10 points. Every other question Jiang Yinuo had only dropped 2 points from, giving him 98 out of the non-final question marks. And the final question, no student in the entire school had managed to solve it. She didn't believe a word I had said about already knowing everything she taught. With Jiang Wenxia's reassurance behind him, Jiang Yinuo's confidence was complete. Fine, let's wager. Who's afraid of who? Bai Qingxi chimed in. I'll wager against you too, Fang Shichuan. Your 2 properties won't cover all of us. What happens if you lose? Seeing the others join in, Feng Eria, Situ Nana, and Jiang Yutong couldn't be left out. They all put themselves forward too. They pinned their mocking stares on me, looking to put me in an impossible position. After all, they were sure I didn't have enough to cover everyone. Bai Qingxi pressed. Well, your stake isn't enough. What now? Maybe ask the class if anyone wants to back you up? She looked around the room. The class was silent. No one moved to stand with me. She was drawing breath to say something more cutting when Shen Wanqing spoke. I'll back him. If he loses, all compensation comes from me. On what basis? 5 people's wagers. What do you have that covers that? Ming De Hall? Good enough? Shen Wanqing gave a dismissive laugh. If you win, the Situ family's medicine supply from Ming De Hall continues. How's that? The moment Ming De Hall came up, the room went quiet. They had all heard enough about those 3 words from their families to know exactly what it meant. Hearing Shen Wanqing mention it again, remembering how seriously their families took Ming De Hall, they changed their tune immediately. Deal. As long as you introduce us to someone from Ming De Hall. Shen Wanqing didn't refuse. Agreed. I promise. Besides, Fang Shiyuan won't lose. Hearing Shen Wanqing agree, Zhang Yinuo and the others could barely contain their excitement. They wanted to tell their families right then and there. Zhang Wenxia pulled out my blank paper and held it up. Come up, take your paper, start now. I didn't move yet. First, I made sure the property details had been specified. Location, floor, unit type, price. I never put myself at a disadvantage. Before touching the paper, I went through the property details with Zhang Yinuo and the others and worked out a rough valuation. I also wrote down my own property's details, so that when I won, they couldn't try to pay me off with the cheap ones. Then I took the paper from Zhang Wenxia and started working through it. Fast, clean strokes, pen never stopping. The entire classroom watched. I moved at a pace that suggested I wasn't thinking at all. The pen never paused. Zhang Wenxia and the others were completely confident. Not one of them believed I could outscore Zhang Yinuo. They were already calculating. Once they locked in the Mingde Hall connection, they'd tell their families immediately. There would certainly be rewards. Half an hour passed. I finished the final question and dropped the paper in front of Zhang Wenxia. Teacher Zhang, take a good look. Seeing me hand it in so quickly, Zhang Wenxia was inwardly contemptuous at my overconfidence. She stated once more for the record, if anyone loses, the time taken is no excuse to back out. Everyone agreed to this wager and everyone honors it. I raised an eyebrow and said nothing further. The room was quiet. Zhang Wenxia began marking the paper, her expression dripping with disdain at first. Gradually, her expression shifted into something heavier. Every answer was correct. She marked with meticulous care, going back over each question multiple times to make sure she hadn't misread anything. The further she went, the more unsettled she became. Not a single error. How? He had been at this school for 2 months without appearing to study once. Every paper he handed in had been blank. How could he complete this paper without a single mistake? Then she reached the final question. One look, and her pupils contracted sharply. She even raised a hand and rubbed her eyes. The final question had gone beyond the syllabus. Not one student in the school had solved it correctly, and I hadn't just solved it. I had laid out several different approaches. She herself only knew one method. It was incomprehensible. And there was another fact she was even more reluctant to admit. Reading through my approaches, she had learned something herself. Jiang Wanxia couldn't accept it. She couldn't accept losing to me, losing to someone she had looked down on. She flipped back to the first page and went through the entire paper again from the beginning, hunting for anything she might have missed. Any place she could justify taking a point. Watching Jiang Wanxia flip through the paper again and again, Bai Qingxi and the others felt their own anxieties rise. I leaned forward. Teacher Jiang, don't waste everyone's time. How many times have you been through it now? Just tell us the result. Every student in the class had their eyes on Jiang Wanxia. Though she neither wanted to admit it nor believe it, she had no choice but to say it. Fang Shiyuan, full marks. Those words detonated across the classroom. Full marks. How was that possible? They had thought I might win, but full marks? Zhang Yinuo and the others looked ready to collapse. The pain of it physical. 2 properties. They had already bled a fortune on those posts being deleted, and now 2 more properties on top of that. The thought made their hearts seize. I held up the sheet of paper with the property details written on it. My thanks for the kind concession. I turned to Shen Wanqing. Just want some easy money? Dinner tonight? We celebrate. Seeing my good mood, Shen Wanqing's own mood lifted. The word we landed warmly, and a trace of sweetness rose inside her. She smiled. Then I'll book the table. Impossible, Bai Qingxi shrieked. She had been counting on this to get her foot in the door with Mingde Hall. How could he have won? The thought of her 2 properties sent another spike of pain through her chest. She strode up to the front and snatched the paper from the desk, looking it over again and again. Zhang Wenxia had already marked it. At a glance, tick after tick in red, the score at the top blazing out at her. Bai Qingxi, I said without mercy, do you actually have the brain to understand what you're reading? Bai Qingxi flushed with fury. Your mouth is absolutely vicious. I met her eyes, my expression measured. Did I say anything wrong? Someone with underdeveloped cognition looking at a physics paper. How much of it do you actually understand? Watch your tone and your choice of words. Zhang Wenxia stepped in, unable to stand the relentless pressure I was applying. Teacher Zhang, the words may be harsh, but they're accurate. I'd say my tone is actually quite restrained. Zhang Wenxia's face went iron gray. She slammed the desk. Shouldn't you show a little humility? Is this any way to speak to a classmate? Have all those years of schooling taught you nothing at all? I stood and matched her, brought my hand down on the desk harder than she had, not leaving her a shred of face. When I was being humble, you called me a pig. Is this how you teach? Is this what educating people looks like? I'd say your years of studying did a lot less for you than you think. You and Bai Qingxi are alike. One approach to the final question and not a single one more. What would you call that if not a failure of thinking? Zhang Wenxi recovered quickly, raising her voice. Who said I only know one approach? Everything you wrote on that paper I know. You simply simply wrote it down before I had the chance. I was planning to walk through all of it when I explained the question to the class. She had been quietly studying the approaches I'd written, and had mostly committed them to memory, and who could prove she hadn't known them before? Her shamelessness didn't surprise me in the slightest. I responded immediately. "Oh, Teacher Jiang, how impressive of you. In that case, this question has 2 additional methods that I didn't write down. There wasn't enough space on the paper. I'd be grateful if Teacher Jiang could walk us through them. I'd love to compare notes." Jiang Wanxia's expression tightened. Looking at the satisfaction in my eyes, she knew immediately I was baiting her. She turned her mind to the question urgently, searching for any other approach, and found nothing but blank. The silence stretched. "Surely not, Teacher Jiang. You don't actually not know? If you don't, you're welcome to humbly ask me. I won't laugh." Jiang Wenjia's grip on the paper tightened until her knuckles showed. She wanted nothing more than to silence me. After a moment, Jiang Wenjia smoothed her expression and spoke plainly. "I'll be honest. I don't know the other methods for the final question. Since student Fang knows them, I'd like to invite him to the front to explain the question to the class. The other students can learn, and so can I." What she didn't know, she couldn't hide. Better to admit it openly, and she intended to find out whether I had genuinely held something back, or had simply set a trap. I went up without a word. Our eyes met, mine full of amusement. I began writing on the board in swift, confident strokes. The entire class fixed their attention on what I was doing. When I had written out the remaining 2 methods, I flicked the chalk with precision directly into the chalk box. "Teacher Jiang, take a look. Anything wrong with these?" Jiang Wenxia's face cycled through shades of pale and flushed. Finally, she pulled her lips into something. "Student Fang is remarkably capable. The student surpasses the teacher. Having someone this talented in my class, I'm proud." I glanced at her. Something was off. I had the distinct feeling she was holding something back. Sure enough, she looked at me with a bright smile. "Since student Fang is this capable, how about the teacher sets a few problems to test you further? What do you think? I'd like to see whether this is consistent ability, or whether there was some other reason. After all, this paper was distributed in advance. You already knew the questions." Bai Qingxi was immediately on it. "The paper was given out beforehand. If you copied down the questions in advance and arranged something, getting full marks or solving the final question wouldn't be difficult at all. For fairness, I think Teacher Jiang makes complete sense. Let Teacher Jiang verify your ability properly, then we'll accept the result without question. If you're as capable as you claim, a test shouldn't bother you." Jiang Wanxia said it with open satisfaction. She had read my background. She could not bring herself to believe in my ability. She was certain I had cheated in advance, that today had been planned from the start. A flicker of hope rose in Feng area and the others. Maybe they still had a chance with Mingde Hall. They all assumed, instinctively, that I had cheated. I didn't refuse. "Fine, no problem. Please go ahead, Teacher Jiang." Jiang Wanxia was delighted. She turned to the blackboard and wrote out a problem without hesitation. Shen Wanqing and I looked at the familiar problem on the board. Both of us were quietly amused. They had underestimated just how shameless Jiang Wanxia could be. They had known she would make things difficult, would push beyond the syllabus, but they hadn't expected her to go this far. The problem she had written on the board was one posed by the renowned physics figure known as Zero. Zero ran an account on social media, regularly posting fascinating problems for people to work through and discuss together. And this particular problem was one Zero had posted not long ago, one that Jiang Wanxia herself had not been able to solve. Well played, Jiang Wanxia. She was using my own problem to test me. Jiang Wanxia caught my expression and looked away, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. Desperate to make me lose, she had gone straight to her idol Zero's problem bank. She simply couldn't believe I would be able to solve it. Then again, who besides a devoted physics enthusiast would follow that kind of account on social media? Jiang Wanxia settled herself, gave a small cough and spoke. "This problem does have some difficulty, but if you can solve it, we'll accept that your ability is real, and that you didn't cheat earlier. Only then will your win mean anything." The class stared at the problem completely lost. Forget solving it. Most of them barely understood what was being asked. I took my time. Solving it isn't the hard part. After what just happened, I have my doubts about Teacher Jiang's ability. How about this? Teacher Jiang and I both write our solutions on the board at the same time. I'd like to assess whether her position actually matches her ability. Let everyone judge for themselves. Jiang Wanxia watched me with wariness, sure that I was up to something. Did Fang Shichuan know she couldn't solve it? She was already thinking through how to turn down my proposal. Otherwise, she'd have no control over what came next. At that moment, Jiang Yinhuo spoke up first. "Teacher Jiang, just compete with him. Show him there's always someone better out there. Agree to his terms. Let him lose in a way he can't argue with." Jiang Yutong followed. "Teacher Jiang, compete with him. We believe in you." Bai Qingxi wasn't going to be left out. They all wanted Jiang Wanxia to go ahead and take me on immediately, to prove I had no real ability, to prove I had cheated in advance. Then they wouldn't have to hand over their properties, and Shen Wanqing would still owe them the Mingde Hall introduction. Jiang Wanxia panicked. Nobody would ever imagine that a teacher had set a problem she couldn't solve herself. She was now trapped. No clean way forward. If she had known it would come to this, she would never have chosen something so advanced, but anything less, and she had feared it wouldn't be hard enough to stop me. Shen Wanqing watched her squirm and found it quietly entertaining. She adopted the same tone I had used earlier. "Teacher Jiang, Don't tell me you don't know it yourself. Why else would you be so resistant? Jiang Wanxia was furious, then thought, fine, let's go. She was certain I wouldn't be able to solve it either. A problem this advanced. She was convinced nobody in this room could understand it. She could write something, anything, make it look appropriately complex, and who would know whether it was right or wrong? She steadied herself and spoke with renewed confidence. Very well, I agree. We'll both write our solutions on the board at the same time. I'm curious to see whether student Fang will manage to surprise the teacher again, if he can come up with a different approach. Jiang Wanxia and I took our places on opposite sides of the board. The countdown began. Both of us picked up chalk and started. Jiang Wanxia had already planned it out. She would transplant Zero's solution process from a different problem, and nobody would be able to tell. She had memorized that other solution process cold. I was faster. Jiang Wanxia hadn't finished when I set my chalk down first. The students below reacted with surprise at my speed, whispering among themselves. He finished before Teacher Jiang. Is he actually that good? Speed means nothing. Anyone can scribble something down fast. The question is whether it's right. Shen Wanqing brought her hand down on the desk. The classroom went instantly silent. Feng Area and the others burned with jealousy. What gave me the right to have Shen Wanqing behind me? Jiang Wanxia almost felt like laughing. This was Zero's problem. Her idol's problem. How could Feng Shichuan possibly have solved it? And this fast. He didn't even have the sense to pretend. At this moment, Jiang Wanxia almost didn't feel the need to check what I had written. She was certain I had already lost. After a good while, Jiang Wanxia finally set down her chalk. She pushed aside the dividing board between us, ready to see just how badly I had botched it. She had already rehearsed in her head exactly how she was going to mock me. She looked at my solution. The smile on her face froze for a moment. She read it again, more carefully. Inside, she was in turmoil. Feng Shichuan had actually solved it? How? This was a problem Zero had only recently posted, and nobody had solved it yet. It was supposed to be impossible. But everything on the board in front of her was telling her I was right. She even found herself thinking involuntarily, so that's how you do it. Why hadn't she seen that? There was excitement in her, and bewilderment, and a tangle of things she couldn't sort out. But none of it showed on her face. She could not lose. Losing to someone she had looked down on. That would be a stain on her she could never erase. Seeing her silence, I spoke first. Teacher Jiang, shall we now verify each other's solutions? Jiang Wanxia steadied herself. Is that necessary? What you've written is full of errors. Shamelessness was Jiang Wanxia's natural state. She picked up the chalk, walked to my side of the board, drew a large cross over my work, and began her corrections. Can you not use your brain? You can't even handle something this straightforward. She threw in accusations about my character and my integrity as well. I was so incredulous I almost laughed. Jiang Wanxia's ability to say things she knew were untrue with a straight face was genuinely impressive. She and Jiang Yinuo really were cut from the same cloth. The problem was too advanced for most students to follow. Seeing Teacher Jiang condemn my work so confidently, the class accepted it as correct and turned on me. I actually thought he was brilliant. Turns out he cheated, disgusting, stupid, and dishonest, and he was trying to win properties from Bai Qingxi and the others. If Teacher Jiang hadn't said anything, I would have believed the hype. Shen Wanqing stood up. Her voice carried across the room, and every student turned to look. Feng Area and the others felt a spark of excitement. They thought Shen Wanqing had finally seen through me. It put them in a very good mood. Jiang Yinuo was even more energized. Without the Mingde Hall connection, I would have no value to anyone. The Jiang family wouldn't have to be civil to me anymore. Getting me out of the house would suddenly become easy. I said Jiang Wanxia is stupid and vicious. Shen Wanqing gave a cold smile. Shen Wanqing, watch your tone and your language. Jiang Wanxia's voice flared with fury. Did I say anything wrong, Teacher Jiang? Shen Wanqing walked toward her unhurriedly. The presence she carried was overwhelming. Jiang Wanxia couldn't form a rebuttal. In the time it took to register, Shen Wanqing was already standing in front of her. Jiang Wanxia stepped back on instinct, unease in her voice. What are you doing? Shen Wanqing gripped her by the arm. Jiang Wanxia winced visibly in pain. Relax, Teacher Jiang. I just need to borrow your chalk. She took the chalk from her hand and pushed her to the side, then turned to face the class. When I said Jiang Wanxia was stupid and vicious, I had my reasons. Student Fang's solution is completely correct. It is Jiang Wanxia's solution that is incoherent. Not knowing something is not knowing something. The dignified thing is to admit your limitations. The vicious part is using her authority as a teacher to falsely condemn a student's correct work. Shen Wanqing took the chalk, ran through Jiang Wanxia's solution with pointed commentary, and gave back every insult she had delivered, mirroring her style exactly. Her final summary: no ability, no competence, no integrity, unfit to stand in front of a classroom. With that done, she walked through my solution for the class from start to finish. Jiang Wanxia's legs felt unsteady beneath her. She forced a composed expression. Shen Wanqing, on what basis are you claiming my work is wrong? Jiang Wanxia, you really won't believe it until you see the proof. Shen Wanqing pulled out her phone, connected it to the classroom display, and mirrored her screen onto the board. She opened social media and searched Zero. In that moment, Jiang Wanxia felt genuine alarm. She knew Zero? She moved to step forward and stop her. I blocked her path, my voice cold. What are you doing, Teacher Jiang? Shen Wanqing is explaining the solution for everyone. Shen Wanqing quickly located the problem on the account and gave the class some background on who Zero was. Even specialists in the field need significant time to work through Zero's problems, and Jiang Wanxia used one of them to challenge student Fang. The funniest part, she can't solve it herself. Shen Wanqing scrolled to Zero's previous post, a different problem entirely. In the comments, someone had posted a solution. She opened it, it. It was word for word what Jiang Wanxia had written on the board, banking on the students not being able to tell the difference. She had copied a solution from a completely different problem and passed it off as her own. She used it to fake a solution to today's problem, and then had the audacity to stand there and condemn student Feng's correct work, and insisted with great conviction that she was right. The classroom went completely silent. Shen Wanqing's gaze settled on Jiang Wanxia. Jiang Wanxia, did I say anything wrong? Tell me, what gives you the right to stand in front of a classroom? She said it plainly, and the class erupted. Now that they understood what had happened, every pair of eyes looking at Jiang Wanxia had changed. They had assumed teachers were capable, beyond question. They hadn't expected to see one exposed as less capable than her own student. Jiang Wanxia's face went crimson. Those stares from her students landed like slaps across her face. If there had been a hole in the floor in front of her, she would have crawled into it without hesitation. But I wasn't done. Jiang Wanxia, shouldn't you apologize to your students? Does a teacher really need a student to teach her that? The humiliation was total. Her eyes were poison. I stepped forward and took hold of her. She struggled to pull away and couldn't move. Apologize to the class. Friendly reminder, if you don't, Jiang Wanxia, don't expect to be getting up. I'm sorry. I cupped my ear. Can't hear you. Too quiet. Jiang Wanxia raised her voice through gritted teeth. I'm sorry. It was my fault. I shrugged, my gaze unmoved. Don't forget about the properties. Given your character, I'm reminding you in advance. Don't think about going back on it. With that, I released her and returned to my seat. I retrieved the micro camera I had hidden in the stack of books on my desk, edited the footage together, cut it into a video of the competition and everything that followed, and posted it. Jiang Wanxia was the first person I intended to destroy. First her reputation, then everything else. The moment the video went up, Shen Wanqing got people moving and pushed it onto the trending list. Jiang Wanxia was hit with a wave of public outrage across the entire internet. Someone like this has no business being a teacher. Get her out of the school. Get her out of education entirely. Driven by the public reaction, comments flooded the school's official account and the local education bureau's account. Message after message condemned Jiang Wanxia. A teacher like this has no right to educate anyone. Get her out. It didn't stop there. Jiang Wanxia's personal information was dug up. People found out she was the eldest daughter of the Jiang family, and the company took the hit. Some users were already calling for a boycott of Jiang family businesses. At the same time, my own identity was uncovered further, though only what I had made available on the surface. It emerged that I was Jiang Wanxia's biological brother. The fact that Jiang Wanxia had treated her own brother this way was attributed to him not having grown up with the family. I hadn't tried to hide any of this. Some of it I had deliberately fed to people. As for Shen Wanqing, all the internet could find was her name. Everything else was completely blank. Once my story came out, the criticism of Jiang Wanxia only intensified. Something is seriously wrong with her, going after her own brother like that. With Shen Wanqing actively amplifying the momentum, the Jiang family company took a severe blow. Jiang Wanxia was placed on temporary suspension by the school pending investigation. After school, Shen Wanqing and I went to Mingge Hall together. The Feng family and the Situ family had visited multiple times, seeking to purchase Mingge Hall's medicine and petitioning for the phantom healer to see patients. Each escalation was turned away. They had even gone so far as to have people from the capital send word on their behalf, to no effect. Mingde Hall did not respond to pressure. After dinner, we talked through the next steps, and then Shen Wanqing drove me home. Before I went in, I couldn't help saying something. Wanqing, you don't have to keep coming to school with me. The Jiang family situation will be wrapped up soon. You should go back and deal with your other work. After school every day, Shen Wanqing had a mountain of things to deal with. She was often working until deep into the night. Both Mingde Hall and Shadowblade's affairs had been left in her hands. Shen Wanqing's eyes softened slightly. The corners of her lips curved. Shichuan, are you worried about me overworking? I nodded honestly. Shen Wanqing mattered to me. The position I had reached in this life, having enough to dismantle the Jiang family, had a great deal to do with her. I was genuinely grateful. Shen Wanqing raised a hand and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Her voice was as gentle as it always was. Fang Shichuan, I want to be beside you. We grew up together, and I don't want to miss a single thing that happens to you. Not a moment of it. Faced with this sudden expression of feeling from Shen Wanqing, I didn't know how to respond. We had grown up side by side. The understanding between us ran deep, and Shen Wanqing knew me well enough to know what I was thinking. I reached out and ruffled her hair. Alright, stop overthinking. There's a long road ahead. We have plenty of time. Only after Shen Wanqing left did I go inside. As expected, the entire Jiang family was sitting in the living room waiting for me. Every face in the room looked terrible. Understandably so. What had happened to Jiang Wanxia hadn't stopped at her. It had dragged the company down with it, and the other four sisters' records had been dug up in the fallout. Each of them was receiving criticism of varying degrees. The Jiang family was, at this moment, taking fire from the entire internet. I had switched my phone off since the afternoon. The Jiang family hadn't been able to reach me. They must have been frantic. Su Yuewa was the first to speak the moment I walked in. So you do know where home is? Phone off. Where have you been? Out running wild? I glanced at her. She took a step back, but then remembering that the whole family shared her grievances right now, she found her nerve again. She lifted her chin slightly. Did I say anything wrong? Don't you know to come home after school? Not answering your phone. What kind of behavior is that? I cracked my knuckles and walked toward her. So what are you going to do about it? "Wanna fight?" Su Yue went pale. What had she done to deserve this? Someone who came at people at the slightest excuse. I looked around at the Jiang family. The anger on their faces was still there, but not one of them dared say another word. I gave a short laugh. "If nobody has anything to say, I'll go up to my room." "Fang Shichuan," Zhang Shunyue stopped me. "Have you seen what's happening online?" I nodded. Seeing that I wasn't going to say more, Zhang Shunyue pressed on. "This all started because of you. The damage to the company is significant. You need to help the company and your eldest sister get through this." Zhang Shunyue was genuinely furious. He was simply forcing it down, held in check by other considerations. "What does any of this have to do with me? Wasn't it your beloved son Zhang Yinuo and your beloved daughter Jiang Wanxia who started all of this? They picked the fight." I only responded, "Oh, and Zhang Yinuo, don't forget about the 2 properties. I expect you to transfer them," Zhang Shanyu said tiredly. "Right now, you're the only one who can fix this. If there were another option, we wouldn't be having this conversation." I was well acquainted with the Jiang family's capacity for shamelessness and how completely unembarrassed they were about it. "Is this how you ask for help?" I said lightly. Jiang Yutong couldn't stay quiet. "Fang Shiwan, you're part of this family. It's only right that you do your part. Do you have any idea how much damage was done to the company today? You don't want to see the Jiang company suffer, do you? We're all family. Contributing to the household is only natural, and this situation does involve you," Jiang Yinuo chimed in. The others followed. "Shiwan, what Wanxia did today was wrong. We hope you can be the bigger person and help the family through this." As much as she was seething inside, Jiang Wanxia had to swallow her pride too. "Shiwan, we're family. The company's losses are the family's losses. Xia knows what you're capable of. If you step in, we won't just recover from this. We'll come out stronger than before." Hearing this, I understood perfectly. There was no need to guess. They wanted Mingdahal to intervene. With Mingdahal's support, even a crisis this size could be navigated. I found myself newly impressed by the Jiang family. The thickness of their skin was something to behold. I let out a laugh, sharp and scornful. "The company is beyond my ability to help, but the properties, Jiang Yinuo, you'd better hand those over. Otherwise, every time I see you, I'll hit you." Hearing my refusal, Zhang Shanyue's temper broke. "Fang Shiwan, you won't even help with something this small?" The usual civility was gone from his voice. Nearly 2 months of trying to get close to me and getting no nearer to Mingge Hall. His patience had been ground down to nothing. "Forget the company's crisis for a moment. Let me ask, do you have any idea what Mingge Hall is? Do you think it's a place you can just reach up and grab onto? Do you honestly think you're worthy of that?" Jiang Shanyu's fists clenched. Those words cut deep. He had never dared imagine it before, and yet here was a nobody from the countryside connected to Mingde Hall. Why couldn't the Jiang family have the same? The words reached his throat, and he swallowed them. He pushed down the resentment, and his tone shifted back to its familiar measured weight. "Shi Yuan, I understand that Mingge Hall isn't easy to approach, but this involves our company. If you can't make the introduction, I hope you'll at least cooperate in helping us through this crisis. You're part of this family too." I didn't push back. Mainly, I wanted to see just how far the Jiang family's shamelessness would stretch, and giving them a little hope before pulling it away, that had its uses too. Seeing no rebuttal, Jiang Shanyu ventured further. "Shiwan, if you could go online and clarify that today was staged, and then appear alongside your eldest sister to reassure the public that the relationship between you two is actually fine." I didn't answer him. My gaze moved to Jiang Wanxia. "Jiang Wanxia, is this what you want? Is there any real need for the two of us to perform sibling warmth? This is revolting." Jiang Wanxia's face flushed. If she had any choice, she wouldn't want to perform anything with me, but there was no better option. She opened her mouth. "I got there first. I won't cooperate with any of this. What happened is what happened. If anyone is to blame, blame the Jiang family's upbringing for producing someone like her. How this gets resolved is your problem, not mine." My intention to destroy Jiang Wanxia was set in stone. My repeated refusals had pushed Jiang Shanyu's anger past its limit. He slammed the table in fury and stood, ready to say something sharp. I spoke again. "We can cut ties. Anything else is off the table." That one sentence stopped everything Jiang Shanyu had been about to say. Cut ties, but the Tang family of the capital stood behind me. How could he give that up? He was trapped. He could neither manage a functional relationship with me nor let go of the Tang family connection. Seeing my refusal to budge, Jiang Yinuo was privately delighted. He moved quickly to make himself look good, his expression one of deep anguish. "We're family, in the end. This would be nothing to you, so why won't you help? Do you understand that today's events haven't just hurt the company? It could ruin Wanxia's entire—" Jiang Wanxia felt a little warmth return to her chest. Yinuo, he was the one who actually felt like her brother. Jiang Yinuo read the room, crossed to me in a few steps and implored, "What would it take for you to help Wanxia, to help this family? Whatever you want, I'll kneel and beg you for it." And he dropped to his knees with a thud, so quickly that the rest of the Jiang family hadn't even registered what was happening. Seeing Jiang Yinuo humble himself this far for the family, the others felt a pang of guilt. Since I had come back, they had all known how much he had been through. They hadn't expected him to go this far for their sake. I had to hand it to him. Jiang Yinuo could throw himself into the deep end when he needed to. I was almost impressed. With this one kneel, if I agreed to help, the Jiang family would credit Jiang Yinuo for persuading me, and if I refused, the contrast with his selflessness would send his standing in the family soaring regardless, as if I would let him have that. I reached out and gripped him by the jaw. Helping isn't out of the question, but I have a condition. Jiang Yinuo looked up at me earnestly. Whatever the condition, if you're willing to help, I agree to it. I want you to leave the Jiang family. Leave City A, never come back. Jiang Yinuo had not seen that coming. His expression froze solid. If the family hadn't been watching, he would have lost all composure right there. I gave him no time to think. What? You won't? Didn't you just say you'd do anything for this family? If you won't help, then don't help. But how dare you pressure Yinuo like this? Jiang Wanxia's voice rose to a shout. I always knew you had it out for Yinuo. How shameless can you be, making a demand like that? Jiang Yinuo said nothing. The tears came in a steady stream. Jiang Wanxia's heart ached at the sight. She went over and helped him up. Fang Shichuan, as long as I'm here, don't even think about laying a finger on Yinuo. Su Yuehua glared at me. Fang Shichuan, you've gone too far. That demand is completely unreasonable. Zhang Yutong was worried her father might actually agree. She spoke up. Dad, you absolutely cannot listen to him. He's the one who caused all of this. Helping the family through a crisis he created, that's the least he owes us. Zhang Shanyue had no intention of agreeing. The potential benefits behind me were tempting, but they were all uncertain. The situation between Jiang Yinuo and Bai Qingxi, on the other hand, was solid. They were in a relationship, childhood sweethearts, feelings established and stable. He could not give up the tie to the Bai family for something uncertain. Besides, these past 2 months had shown him that I was impossible to control, a genuine waste. I stood. I was going to help. Since you've decided otherwise, forget it. I turned and headed for the stairs. 2 steps up, I stopped, turned back, and smiled pleasantly. By the way, hasn't anyone actually looked carefully at the video? The angle is quite obvious. You can't tell whose position it was shot from? How disappointing. Since they haven't figured it out, I suppose I'll have to tell you myself. Jiang Wanxia and the others immediately pulled out their phones and opened the video. They had been so preoccupied with getting me to help with the PR that they had overlooked this entirely. Jiang Wanxia, Zhang Yinuo, and Zhang Yutong identified the camera position in an instant. All 3 of them stared in disbelief. Jiang Wanxia looked at me, shock written across her face. Fang Shichuan, stop right there. Why did you do this to me? She rushed up the stairs and blocked my path, her face contorted with fury. You animal, you set me up! Her voice had gone several notches louder. I backhanded her across the face. A foul mouth deserved exactly that. Jiang Wanxia, if you didn't have real problems, there would have been nothing for me to catch you on. Someone like you has no business teaching students. What I did was a service, and separate matter entirely. Don't forget to transfer the properties into my name. Jiang Wanxia's face was a picture of misery. Her reputation destroyed, 2 properties lost. How could she accept this? Her fury broke into bitter laughter. You still want the properties? Dream on. Jiang Yinuo's anxiety eased. If Jiang Wanxia wasn't giving hers, he wasn't giving his either. That was exactly the answer I had been waiting for. I snapped my hand up and closed it around her throat, lifting her off the ground with no effort at all. Jiang Wanxia hadn't expected me to move so decisively. Shock and fury collided across her face as she thrashed with every limb and couldn't move an inch. Fear flashed through her eyes. Fang Shichuan, let go. Su Yuehua rushed forward first. Then she met my gaze, and her feet stopped dead. At the same moment, Jiang Shanyue's phone rang. His expression went from initial surprise to something approaching fear. He ended the call, his feelings a complicated tangle. It had been Ming Dehal. Ming Dehal had called with a warning directed at Jiang Wanxia. If I was made unhappy, the Jiang family would cease to exist. He had not a single doubt about Ming Dehal's ability to follow through. He simply couldn't believe Ming Dehal would go this far. For my sake, he let out a long breath, swallowing the pain it cost him. Shichuan, the properties. I'll have your sister and the others transfer them to your name. A bet is a bet. I dropped Jiang Wanxia to the floor, dusted off my hands, and went back to my room. Jiang Xia couldn't find words for what she was feeling. The scale of what stood behind me, and she had no way to reach it. The frustration was physical. She had wanted to build a real relationship with me, and instead things had only gotten worse. The anger had nowhere to go. Looking at Jiang Wanxia crumpled on the floor only made it worse. She strode over and kicked her. She could have strangled Jiang Wanxia with her bare hands. She had told them, again and again, not to antagonize me, and these fools had refused to listen. The situation had deteriorated even further, and now the company was caught in it too. How was she supposed to not be furious? Nobody else in the Jiang family dared say a word. At the same time, the Situ family, the Feng family, and the Bai family all received calls from Ming Dehal. Each call was a warning. Transfer the properties to Fang Shichuan without delay. Those who had been considering backing out found they no longer had any other thoughts on the matter. Shen Wanqing told me all of it. She never held things back. This was exactly the kind of moment she used to her advantage. In truth, I had other ways to get the properties even without her involvement. Still, I was genuinely pleased. After we finished talking, I opened social media to check where things stood. Every comment was directed at the Jiang family. After a moment's thought, I logged into the Zero account. The latest problem had been answered publicly thanks to the school video, so I thought I'd post a new one for people to work on. I checked the inbox out of habit. Among the messages pointing me toward the school video, I immediately spotted one from Jiang Wanxia. She was asking Zero to provide a problem, a very difficult one. She said she wanted to host an academic discussion event and needed a question for people to work through. I thought about it for all of a second and knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted wanted to reclaim a win, and since she couldn't do it on her own ability, she was going to borrow Zero's name. What she couldn't have imagined in her wildest dreams was that Zero was me. Now this was interesting. I was only too happy to oblige. I wrote out a problem on the spot, along with a solution, but I had tampered with it. The problem, as I had written it, was fundamentally flawed. I changed something small and subtle enough that Jiang Wenxia's ability would never catch it. Whatever play she was planning to make against me, it would only destroy what remained of her reputation. She would never have the chance to recover. When the reply appeared on her screen, Jiang Wenxia was overwhelmed. She had been at the end of her rope. Reaching out to Zero had been a last-ditch attempt, half expecting nothing. And then, Zero had not only responded, but sent the solution along with the problem. She was on her feet immediately, ready to come to me right now and throw down the challenge. Not just to make me fix the company crisis, but to use this moment to push me into the mud and show me that the world was bigger than I thought. I hadn't expected Jiang Wenxia to be this impatient. I had assumed she would at least spend some time studying the problem before coming to find me. I leaned against the doorframe and looked her over. My gaze unsettled her. She got straight to it. Fang Shichuan, I want one more wager. Do you dare? Her voice was low, but the confidence behind it was unmistakable. I was almost looking forward to it. Her face, when she found out tomorrow that she had gone to me, her enemy, for help, I didn't respond immediately. Jiang Wenxia read it as hesitation and gave a cold smile. What? Are you scared? If you're ready to admit defeat? I scoffed. Competing against someone like you, I'm only worried it'll lower my reputation to be associated with it. The words were too cutting. Jiang Wenxia had never felt humiliation like this in her entire life. She couldn't fight me, so she swallowed her fury and held her temper in check. Fang Shichuan, if I lose, I will leave the school permanently. I will never teach again for the rest of my life. Jiang Wenxia, after what happened today, do you really think you have a future as a teacher anyway? I found it genuinely funny. Jiang Wenxia, you really have no sense of where you stand. Jiang Wenxia clenched her fists, drew a few steadying breaths, and spoke. Fang Shichuan, if I lose, I will publicly post under my real name admitting I'm worthless. And if you lose, you do the same, and you help the Jiang family through this crisis. Do you dare? My interest was piqued. Jiang Wenxia was my first target to begin with. If she wanted to dig her own grave, why would I stop her? Fine. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll be waiting at school, whatever terms you want. Tomorrow morning. Jiang Wenxia couldn't wait. She wanted to watch me fall apart as soon as possible. I gave her a flat look. Tomorrow morning, you and Zhang Yinuo and the others are going to transfer the properties to me first. Before this new wager starts, you honor the last one. Afraid I'd back out, Jiang Wenxia ultimately agreed. Back in her room, she began planning how to take me down tomorrow. After some thought, she decided to find people of standing to witness the competition. She thought of the highly respected physicist Wei Zhiyuan. With his presence as witness, the outcome would carry real weight. The thought had barely formed before she had her phone out and was opening Wei Zhiyuan's messaging app. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, she sent him Zero's problem with a message. Professor Wei, I would be honored to invite you to our school tomorrow to witness a gifted student, Fang Shichuan, solve a problem. Jiang Wenxia was certain. Zero's problems were famously difficult. What serious academic could resist a good hard problem? And with the gifted student framing, surely Professor Wei would want to come and see for himself. Sure enough, the reply came almost instantly. He agreed. He would come by tomorrow afternoon. Jiang Wenxia was delighted. Tomorrow she would finally grind me into the dirt. At the same moment, Wei Zhiyuan screenshotted his entire exchange with Jiang Wenxia and sent it straight to me, with a humble message, Zero, I get to see you again tomorrow. I pressed my fingers to my temples. I closed the app without replying. How had Jiang Wenxia found Wei Zhiyuan? Absolutely infuriating. Every time they crossed paths, there was no avoiding his endless questions. I genuinely regretted it. Why had I ever mentored Wei Zhiyuan? The messages kept coming. I gave up and picked up the phone. My reply, tomorrow, keep yourself in check. If you expose my identity early, I'll cut you off completely. His response came immediately. Understood, Zero. The next morning I came downstairs to find the entire Jiang family sitting there with long faces. I couldn't help humming a little tune. I sat down and said with complete sincerity, what a wonderful day. This person never stopped being insufferable. Jiang Wenxia wanted to flip the table and leave, but the warning from Mingde Hall held her back. She endured and endured again. I didn't let up for a moment all morning, asking about the company situation, asking about the property transfers. Every word was aimed straight for the throat. The expressions on the Jiang family's faces were those of people in genuine pain, all of them desperately wanting to shut me up. When I had eaten my fill, I pulled a napkin from the holder and dabbed at the corner of my mouth. Then I tossed it at Jiang Wenxia's face. See you this afternoon, little chicken. Don't back out at the last minute. Jiang Wenxia's face went iron gray. She wanted to hurl her bowl at me, but the thought of the afternoon lifted her mood considerably. She was planning to livestream the whole thing. Let the internet watch what their so-called gifted student really looked like when he failed. The morning passed quickly. Zhang Yinuo and the others were unusually well behaved. Not one of them started anything. A message came from the lawyers confirming that all the transfers had been completed. I made a point of going to each of them and expressing my thanks, which, of course, was its own form of torture. Zhang Yinuo and the others didn't dare show anger. They forced smiles through their pain and said, don't mention it. Regarding the upcoming competition with Jiang Wenxia, through Shen Wenqing's arrangements, the principal had notified. The entire school that afternoon classes would be suspended, so everyone could witness the competition and learn from Professor Wei. The anticipation was building. The afternoon came quickly. Seeing the scale of everything assembled, Jiang Wanxia felt a brief moment of doubt. Then she remembered. The problem had come from zero. Her confidence flooded back. The principal announced the rules. Teacher Jiang Wanxia would provide the problem. Student Fang Shichuan would solve it. The competition began. Jiang Wanxia wrote out the problem she had committed to memory the night before with complete confidence, then stepped aside and gestured for me to begin. I didn't move. I stayed in my seat. Jiang Wanxia couldn't hold back. Student Fang Shichuan, the problem is on the board. Please come up and start solving. I ignored her and asked instead, Teacher Jiang, did you write this problem yourself? Jiang Wenxia's heart jumped. Had I noticed something? She had intended to claim the problem as her own, but looking at the size of the audience assembled, if she said it was hers and it later came out otherwise, the consequences could be serious. She thought it through and changed course. I came across this problem elsewhere. It isn't one I wrote myself. I looked at her with measured significance. Since you didn't write it yourself, why don't we do what we did yesterday? Both solve it at the same time. How does that sound? Fine. Jiang Wenxia was unhurried. She had memorized the solution. I got up then and walked to the board. We stood side by side. Before we began, I turned to her one more time. Teacher Jiang, would you like to check that the problem is complete? Since it isn't your own, I'm just concerned you may have copied it incorrectly. Impossible. I didn't copy anything wrong. She dismissed it immediately. She knew this problem backwards and forwards. In that case, let's begin. The principal positioned the movable divider between us, blocking our views of each other's boards. The moment the competition started, Jiang Wanxia began writing her solution without hesitation. On my side, I held the chalk and did nothing, performing the picture of someone deep in thought. Jiang Yutong and the others watching this felt a surge of excitement they couldn't contain. If Jiang Wanxia won, it wouldn't just strip me of the gifted student label, it would cut me down and force me to help the company out of its crisis. The fallout from yesterday had hit the company hard. The PR response they had put out was barely making a dent. Zhang Yinuo felt something closer to complicated than hopeful. If I lost, then Jiang Wanxia and I would be locked in permanent war, the company crisis would remain unresolved, and I would be the Jiang family's villain forever, someone the whole household could despise. Who could have imagined that this time I would be this helpless? The students in the audience were murmuring among themselves. Teacher Jiang is almost done and Fang Shiuan hasn't even started. Is the gifted student thing all just talk? The teachers from the school, by contrast, sat quietly without comment, each of them working through the problem in their heads. In truth, none of them could solve it either. So they didn't think much of Jiang Wanxia winning it would mean anything worth celebrating. Jiang Wanxia set down her chalk. A teacher came forward and removed the divider between us. Seeing that my board was completely blank, Jiang Wanxia almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Zero's problems lived up to their reputation. She had expected exactly this. She took a breath and pushed down her excitement, then addressed me in a deliberately patient tone. Student Fang Shiuan, if you don't know, just put the chalk down. No need to push yourself, you're a student. Losing isn't the end of the world. The teacher will walk you through it afterward. I listened, and then set the chalk down, calmly, deliberately. Teacher Jiang, writing something down doesn't mean it's correct, and not writing anything down doesn't mean I've lost.